Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, God-Level Digital Beast Tamer. Chapter 61. Digizoid. A special imaginary metal that can be integrated with a Digimon, turning the Digimon's body into a living metal. It can also be used to craft weapons and armor. It can even be used on parts of cyborg and mechanical Digimon. Digizoid. When Chin-Yun was looking for digital props that could be used to train Doroman, the system suddenly popped up an interface, bringing Digizoid to him. System, you don't want me to fuse Digizoid into Doroman's body and transform Doroman's body into a living metal, similar to the body of Magnamon X. After watching Digizoid after the introduction, Chin-Yun seemed to understand the purpose of the system and spoke. The system did not answer, which meant that there was no denial. In addition, it popped up the Digizoloid directly. It was obviously trying to tell Chin-Yun that he could use Digizoloid to achieve his goals. When he thought of this, Chin-Yun tried to buy a Digizoid. Anyway, there was no shortage of energy points for the time being, and since it was an opinion provided by the system, there was no point in buying it and giving it a try. Small red Digi-alloy. A special imaginary metal that can be eaten by Digimon. It can slightly increase the hardness of the Digicore, and has a chance for Digimon to obtain living metal. Small blue digital evolution. A special imaginary metal that can be used by Digimon to eat. It can slightly improve the Digimon's mobility, and has a chance for the Digimon to obtain living metal. The red one is hardness, the blue one is mobility. Opening the Digizoid interface, this was Chin-Yun's first time entering this store. He looked at the Digizoid on it, especially the price at the back, which was a full 10,000, and he hesitated a little. Forget it, this energy point will have to be spent sooner or later anyway. If it can improve the Doroman again, it will be worth it. After thinking for a while, Chin-Yun made a decision. He directly purchased a red digital memory. As for the blue digital memory, he did not buy it because he remembered something. After passing the test for the first time when he entered the 2-star digital tower, he obtained a small blue digital memory. Since you already have one, why buy another one? What's more, it's not certain whether Digizoid can be effective against Multimon, so it needs to be tested. But now that Doroman is resting, the Digizoid matter can only be put aside for the time being. Chin-Yun looked at the interface again, and there were still only 2 types of Digizoid on it. He immediately backed out and opened the interface for Digiprops. Chin-Yun felt that relying on Digizoloid alone was still a bit unreliable, so it was best to buy some more Digizol props. Anyway, it cost 10,000 energy points and there was no problem in spending some more. In the following time, Chin-Yun purchased a large number of digital props, including those that suppressed the power of Digimon last time, props such as gravity rings, and various equipment used for physical exercise. These digital props were placed by Chin-Yun in his home, and in the following days, Chin-Yun did not take the Multimon to challenge the 2-star digital tower. In addition to the cooling limit of the digital tower, it was more about letting Doroman get some exercise at home. This approach can not only improve Doroman's body to a certain extent, but also increase the data in the home to a certain extent. It is even possible to activate the potential again, and it can also take care of the situation of the Digi-Egg. It's simply killing multiple birds with one stone. And time passed quickly on days like this. August passed quickly, and today is September 1st, which is also the day when the college starts school. Hello, my name is Mahawkman, and I am the messenger Digimon of the class. Looking at Chin-Yun and Dualuman who opened the door and came out, Ma Yingmon said, "This time, I will take you to the class. Then I'll trouble you, Ma Yingmon. Then please go to the teleporter and I will send you to class." Okay, please come in. Chin-Yun took Ma Yingmon to the transmission device in the dormitory. He saw Ma Yingmon took out a card, inserted it into the interface next to the transmission device, and then clicked on the teaching building. At this moment, the door of the teleportation device was opened. Your class is the 3rd class of the year. The location has been set. When you walk in, you will be teleported to the class. As he spoke, Ma Yingmon took out the card, turned around and prepared to leave, going to the next student's dormitory. Then, I wish you a happy school. Thank you for your hard work. Have a good trip. Chin-Yun replied politely. After the Ma Ying beast left, he closed the door and returned to the teleportation device. Okay, Doroman, today is our first day of school, are you ready? We have already done. The energetic Doroman responded loudly, because today is the first day of school, so Chinyan gave Doloman a holiday the day before yesterday, so that he, who was originally exhausted from training, could get some rest. Doroman is in very good condition now, and after receiving the training these days, his own strength has been improved to a certain extent. In addition, due to the consumption of Digizoid, although he has not yet obtained living metal, his Digimon has also improved the hardness of the core and its own mobility. However, because he did not challenge the digital tower, Chinyan is not very clear about how strong he has become. After such a long time, the 2-star digital tower has already finished cooling down. It is because of training that there is no time. Therefore, after finishing the class, Chinyan plans to take Dualumin to challenge the digital tower. After walking into the White Passage, Chinyan and Doroman experienced the faint shaking again. Then the door was reopened, and a student and their Digimon came into view. Chinyan and Dualu Beast walked out of the passage and came outside. The door behind them was closed again. If you look carefully, you will find that the door did not appear out of thin air, but was decorated on a building. This building is similar to the building with Digimon carvings that Chinyan saw when he was in the digital tower. If he had noticed it, he might have understood the purpose of the building on the other side of the digital tower. However, Chinyan's attention was not on this building now, because he found that he was not in a certain class, nor in a certain teaching building, but in a prairie. Is this where classes are held? Ahead is an endless prairie, surrounded by students and their mature Digimon coming and going. Recalling Ma Yingmon's words before, Chinyan always felt that he had been cheated. Because he couldn't figure out how to take classes on the grassland, and there were no buildings similar to teaching buildings here. Could it be like a spring outing and an autumn outing to feel the natural environment? But it seems that there is no such activity in this world. At least when Chinyan was in junior high school, he had never heard of such activities. When he was in junior high school, it was the same as in his previous life. There are few people who stay in school to learn basic knowledge and go out to the prairie. Not only Chinyan was confused, the students who came earlier than him also didn't know what they were doing in this prairie. Xiaoyun, look up there. 923, at this time, Delumin suddenly pulled Chinyan's clothes, and he looked up at the blue sky. What happened up there? Chinyan, who was attracted by Delumin's move, asked and looked up at the sky. The sky was very blue, with a few white clouds floating by, but otherwise there was nothing else. Chinyan didn't understand what Dualumin wanted to see. Could it be that watching these lumens couldn't be so boring? Coming. At this time, Doroman suddenly said in a deep voice, and at the same time, the mature Digimon around him seemed to have noticed something, and they all raised their heads and looked into the sky. This move naturally attracted the attention of their animal trainers. If it were just one or two, it would not be too attractive, but all the mature animals had raised their heads. This abnormal phenomenon made all the animal trainers. The teacher also looked up at the blue sky. However, there was still nothing, the sky was still so blue, the white clouds were floating slowly, and a small black spot could be vaguely seen. This is. When he noticed the little black dot, Chinyan frowned slightly. For some reason he felt that his eyesight had been improved. Although the black dot was very far away from his position, he could vaguely see that it was a human figure. No, this black spot is coming towards me. Chinyan, who was originally surprised that her eyesight was so high, found in vain that it was not her eyesight that had improved, but that the black spot was constantly falling towards them, with the speed of its fall. The faster Chinyan went, the clearer he could see that the black spot was actually a human figure. Boom boom, a huge sound came from the front, and the black shadow fell directly on the grassland. Immediately, a strong wind carried the earth waves and spread around. The students were so powerful that they couldn't help but move to block it. When the strong wind disappeared and the waves gradually dissipated, the students opened their eyes again. Then they turned their gaze to the front and saw the black shadow coming out of the waves. This is a tall man with muscular arms, wearing a blue and white sportswear, looking at himself and others with a smile. Hello, freshman, my name is Jia Long, you can call me Teacher Jia. Jia Long said, because your class teacher has something to do and hasn't returned to the college yet, so I will be in charge of the first class. Please give me your advice next time. Hello, Teacher Jia. I wonder if the way Jia Long appeared on the stage just now scared the students. After hearing his self-introduction, the students greeted Jia Long obediently. Is this guy really a human being? Nothing happens when he jumps from such a high place. Qin Yun, who was among the students, looked at Jia Long, who was unscathed. His eyes fell on the pit that appeared out of thin air behind him, and then he looked up at the blue sky, feeling more and more shocked inside. I have to say that the way Jia Long appeared on the stage was really scary. Even a well-informed person like Qin Yun was the first to see someone jump from such a high place and not die. Originally, the first class was for you to introduce yourselves, but this is the responsibility of your class teacher, so I will not participate. You can get to know each other well after he comes back. Jia Long said. He took out the button. Before the first class begins, you should put on these clothes first, and the other Digimon will gather behind me. After saying that, Jia Long pressed the button, and a ray of light immediately appeared in front of him. Then pieces of sportswear appeared out of thin air and fell to the ground. Every time a piece of sportswear fell, it would make a dull sound. Even at the end, when all the sportswear was gathered in one place, spider web-like cracks actually appeared on the grassland below. Why do these look familiar to me? After seeing the damage caused by these sportswear, Qin Yun's mouth twitched. How could he feel that these sportswear that Jia Long took out were just like the digital props that Qin Yun bought for Duolumin? The costume props are similar. Okay, stop dawdling, act quickly. Jia Long shouted again when he saw that the students didn't move at all. Hearing Jia Long's words, the students came back to their senses. They looked at the pile of sportswear and always had a bad feeling, but they still took action. Good wait. The student who was the first to come to the sportswear suddenly felt a sense of heaviness when he picked up the top piece, as if what he was holding was not clothes, but a 10-kilogram dumbbell. 10 kilograms is within a completely acceptable range for an adult who regularly works out, but for these students who are no more than 18 years old, it is really too heavy. The most important thing is that the students here are all digital beast trainers. They have not specially exercised their bodies. After all, they are not required to fight, so they can be regarded as ordinary people who have not exercised. And as soon as he came up, it was too reluctant to pick up a 10-kilogram sportswear. If the Digimon next to him hadn't noticed it and accepted it directly, I believe that the student's eyes would have been disabled. Ah, sorry, I almost forgot to adjust the weight back. Noticing the student's condition, Jia Long seemed to remember something and smiled awkwardly. Then he took out a new button and pressed it. Immediately, a burst of white light appeared on the sportswear and then disappeared. Okay, this time it should be in line with your physique. Everyone pick it up and put it on. As for the Digimon, hurry up and gather behind me. Jia Long shouted again. The previous classmate carefully took the sportswear from his Digimon, and this time the weight was indeed reduced by about half. Although it was still heavy, at least this classmate could pick it up and wear it. The amazing thing is that after putting on the sportswear, you can still feel the weight, but the weight seems to be in line with your physical condition. It will not make you unable to move at once, it just seems to be a little more than just right. How is this thing made? It looks like ordinary sportswear, but when you put it on, it feels like you are wearing weights. After putting the sportswear on, Qin Yun felt the weight on his body. He was very curious about this. It looked and felt exactly like ordinary sportswear, but when he put it on, it looked like equipment. It's really amazing to put on weight-bearing props. However, the weight seems to be average. Shaking his arms and feeling the weak weight on his body, Qin Yun felt that the weight-bearing effect should not be obvious, because the weight on the sportswear can be almost ignored if you don't feel it carefully. But seeing the other students struggling to put on their clothes, Qin Yun was even more puzzled. He obviously felt that the sportswear was only so heavy, so there was no need to act so uncomfortable. At this time, Qin Yun didn't know that his body was already different from that of ordinary people. After activating the digital soul, Qin Yun's body had been improved to a certain extent, although it was still unable to be as powerful as the Great Gate Beast. That way, even though he could defeat an ultimate Digimon with one punch, he would still be physically stronger than an ordinary person. Even if Qin Yun uses energy points to strengthen the digital soul, he can challenge Digimon alone, and even kill the ultimate with one punch. However, if you want to do that, you need a massive amount of energy points, not to mention that Qin Yun doesn't even know that the digital soul can strengthen the body. Okay, now let's start the first lesson. After seeing all the students put on their sportswear, Jialong clapped his hands and continued, "Today's class is very simple. Just wear these clothes and run to the finish line. I set 1,000 meters away." 1,000 meters? Are you kidding me? You have to run 1,000 meters in this dress. After hearing Jialong's words, the students' expressions changed drastically. It was already very difficult for them to walk in these clothes, let alone run. As for 1,000 meters, the students doubted whether they could run the distance. 100 meters. "Teacher Jia, may I ask what is the use of running like this?" At this time, a classmate raised a question. He came to Kangyu Academy to learn the knowledge of cultivating Digimon, but now Jialong has to wear such heavy clothes and then run 1,000 meters. This is different from what he wants to do completely. It's different. Good question. Jialong said. I know what you are thinking. You are here to learn about cultivating Digimon, right? I am telling you clearly that there are these courses, but these are not the focus of our academy. Course. I think you will want to sign up for our academy in order to become a powerful digital beast tamer. Jialong said. What do you think a powerful digital beast trainer is? One who has rich knowledge of digital beast cultivation and superb commanding ability. After saying this, most of the students present nodded. In their impression, as a beast tamer, they only need to train Digimon and command Digimon. If you really think so, you are absolutely wrong. Seeing these students nodding, Jialong suddenly shouted, "A real digital beast tamer is not as simple as you think. Has rich knowledge of above training. That is the most basic requirement to become a beast tamer, a superb one command ability. This kind of thing only needs to be lived in the digital world for 1 year. Even if you study in an outside school for 4 or 5 years, you can master a certain command ability. If you want to learn these 2 things, you can drop out now. The teaching method of Kangyu College is not suitable for you." Jialong said. But if you want to become a powerful digital beast tamer, then you must remember, a digital tamer does not become a digital tamer simply by cultivating Digimon, but only when he has the power to defeat Digimon can he be called a digital tamer. Defeat Digimon. How is this possible? Digimon are much stronger than humans. Yeah, let alone the mature stage, even the growth stage Digimon are not something we can defeat. After hearing Jialong's last words, some students protested. As beast trainers, they naturally know how powerful Digimon are. If they hadn't contracted Digimon since they were young, let alone training them. Now, I have to run away whenever I encounter a Digimon. After all, Digimon are notoriously militant, and their targets are never limited to Digimon. Even humans may be their targets. That's why I said that the animal trainers from the human world have no common sense at all. Quote. Before Jialong could continue, a student suddenly said that he was a digital beast tamer born in the digital world, which was completely different from the previous perceptions of digital beast tamers in the human world who denied Jialong. If you don't have the power to defeat Digimon, how did you get the Digimon tamers? Ignoring the angry looks from the tamers, the student chuckled and said, "We can't compete with Digimon from the beginning. To live in peace, as early as the original, humans and Digimon were hostile. Haven't you learned this knowledge in history?" As soon as this student's words came out, those students who had doubted before were suddenly speechless. At this time, they remembered that in junior high school, the teacher once explained the origin of the digital tamer. In that origin story, the original digital tamer was not cultivated through digital eggs, but relied on his own power to tame the Digimon Suichi and become a digital tamer. This classmate is right. The relationship between us humans and Digimon was very unfriendly at first. Jialong said, "But why can we establish friendship with Digimon now?" That's because a long time ago, our ancestors improved their strength through exercise, and finally defeated Digimon and gained their recognition. And this is also the origin of the digital tamer. This is the real digital beast tamer. At the end of the sentence, Jialong shouted again, and at the same time he stamped his right leg on the ground. Immediately, cracks appeared on the grass under his feet. Although the area covered was only Jialong's legs, this move also frightened most of the students present, especially those digital tamers who came from the human world. So this is the digital tamer. After listening to Jialong's words, Qinyun once again had a new understanding of digital tamers. Originally, like those students, he thought that digital tamers were nothing more than having the knowledge and skills to cultivate Digimon, command ability. But it seems that is not the case now. If humans only master these two abilities, then how can they establish a contract with Digimon? After all, Digimon are militants. If you want to make them surrender, it is only possible to be stronger than them. Compared with Digimon, humans are really too fragile. Only by becoming stronger can they be recognized by Digimon, and only a strong tamer can be called a true digital tamer. As for the origin of the digital beast tamer, this is a course for the first grade of junior high school. Qin Yun was already a graduate of the third grade of junior high school when he came to this world, so he did not have much influence on this origin. But now it seems that it is necessary for me to go back and look for information in this area. Otherwise, if I continue to be naive, I will be beaten by rolling up my sleeves when meeting other digital beast trainers in the future. Probably not. After all, I still have the digital soul and fighter spirit in my hands. Dispelling the image of being pressed to the ground and rubbed by other Digimon in his mind, Qin Yun felt that if it were someone else, it might still be possible, but if it were him, just kidding, unless the Digimon tamer has the spirit of darkness, beast masters can beat up complete Digimon, otherwise it's not certain who will beat whom. However, Qin Yun would not ignore this class just because he has the spirit of a fighter, or what Jia Long said made him very interested in the courses at Kangyu College. According to Jia Long, what their Kangyu Academy teaches is not the kind of Digimon training education that is the kind of cramming education outside, but an education that truly cultivates the tamers themselves. This was the first time Qin Yun had seen education like this, so he was naturally very interested. Okay, you have a whole day. As long as you can reach the finish line, you can get out of class. If not, then you will stay here all day until you reach the finish line. Jia Long clapped his hands and said to the students in front of him, in addition, don't even think about borrowing Digimon to complete the course. In class, unless it is actual combat, Digimon cannot be used in other courses. Everything must be done. Rely on yourselves, so in order to make yourself stronger, run for me now. At the end of the sentence, Jia Long shouted directly. The students were immediately energetic. They endured the weight brought on by them and ran in the direction pointed by Jia Long. According to Jia Long, the end point was set 1,000 meters ahead, so just running straight was enough. This situation is a good thing for students. At least they don't need to climb mountains and ridges. Otherwise, the difficulty will definitely increase several times. The students began to take action. They ran very slowly, firstly to save energy, and secondly because the weight on their bodies prevented them from accelerating casually. However, there are exceptions to everything. For example, those students who were born in the digital world. Although most students have similar physical constitutions to students in the human world, there are also some who have been trained by their parents since they were young, so they bear this burden. For them, it is within an acceptable range. Therefore, in a class of 50 people, more than 20 people ignored the weight of sportswear and ran at a normal speed, far exceeding the other students by a large distance. And in this group of students naturally, Qin Yun is included. I always feel so relaxed. When did my body become so strong? Is it because of the digital soul or the fighter spirit? Maintaining the same speed as the students next to him, after running for about 10 minutes, Qin Yun's breathing was still very steady, and his rhythm was not disturbed by running at all, which surprised him very much. When did my physique become so strong? After running for such a long time while wearing this kind of clothes, I didn't feel tired at all, unlike other students. Some of them started to pant. Qin Yun wasn't very sure what was happening to his body, but he was sure that he could still run a little faster, so he started to speed up, slowly surpassing some students, and even surpassed everyone in the end. Became number 1. However, this is not the end yet. When he ran to the first place, Qin Yun still didn't feel it at all, so he tried to use his full strength this time, and after making this move, he just disappeared. He disappeared from the sight of the students, not to mention the person, not even a shadow could be seen. What the hell is this guy? Running so fast, doesn't he worry about the heavy clothes? The students who originally ran with Qin Yun all looked shocked when they saw this scene. If they remembered correctly, Qin Yun was running at about the same speed as them just now. Even though he had accelerated to the first place, the students not too much of a surprise. Because some students have begun to challenge their breathing while running, the speed has naturally dropped a lot, but correspondingly, the state will be improved to a certain extent later. However, before these students could rest enough, they saw Qin Yun rushing forward like flying, and finally completely disappeared from sight. The speed was so terrifying that the students were very surprised. After all, Qin Yun, the clothes he wore were the same as theirs. Logically speaking, you cannot suddenly accelerate when you are carrying a heavy load, otherwise an accident is likely to occur. However, judging from Qin Yun's running, it is not a sudden acceleration at all, but it gives people the impression that this is his normal state. The speed is the same. This is what surprised the students. If this is his normal speed, then remember Zhao, why did Qin Yun run so slowly just now? Don't tell them that he was warming up. That's not a shock, but what a shame. People can run almost as fast when they warm up as they do when they are serious, but now they are completely gone when they show their true skills. What kind of training have you gone through to have such a physique? Qin Yun, who was sprinting, didn't know what the students were thinking. After using all his strength, he saw the finish line in just 10 minutes. When he accelerated, he rushed over and came to the huge white line, on the lawn. Ha, cool. After sprinting past the white line, Qin Yun quickly stopped, then stood on the lawn, exhaled, and shouted with a happy face. This was the first time that he felt so good about running. All the strength in his body was released. The feeling of relief after running rushed through his body, making him a little addicted. 24 minutes and 35 seconds, not bad, not bad. There was sudden applause from one side, and Qin Yun turned around and saw Zhao Long standing on the other side, with mature Digimon behind him. Xiao Yun, Duolu Beast, who followed Zhao Long here, saw his trainer arriving first, and immediately ran up in cheers. Did you train this Digimon? When he saw Duolu Beast running up, Zhao Long was stunned for a moment, and then he looked at Qin Yun with a little surprise. Before the start of school, he had already heard from other teachers that this year there was a student who cultivated the trainer of a growing Digimon with a data value of 7,000. He didn't believe it at first, until just now when he brought Doroman and the others here. Zhao Long got specific information from his Digimon, and also learned that Doroman had a data value of 7,000. So now that I saw Doroman running in front of Qin Yun, I immediately understood that the first student to reach the finish line was none other than Doroman's trainer. Yes, Duolu Beast is my partner. Qin Yun nodded, and then he asked, Teacher Jia, are there any other courses there? If not, can you tell me how to leave? You want to leave so soon, don't you want to see when your classmates will arrive? Zhao Long asked back. No, I still want to cultivate multi-monsters, and as you said, Teacher Jia, as long as you reach the finish line, you can get out of class early and leave the problem behind. Qin Yun smiled. Of course there is no problem. You can leave at any time now. Zhao Long did not intend to let Qin Yun stay, not because of his previous admission, but because he had no intention of knowing how Qin Yun cultivated a multi-level beast with a data value of 7,000, because this matter was not his thoughtful. He is not a person who specializes in research. The way to leave is very simple. You take out your student card and throw it out here, and a teleportation device will appear. Okay, thank you, Teacher Jia. Having seen all kinds of technologies before, Qin Yun has no interest in why the student card can summon the teleportation device. He definitely doesn't understand this thing at the moment, so why bother bothering with it? Qin Yun threw out the student card, and then a teleportation device appeared in front of him, and the previous student card was inserted into the CEAF. There are no classes tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. You can have a good rest first. As for the third day of classes, don't bring Digimon. Looking at Qin Yun who was about to leave, Zhao Long said again, before the freshman competition, you guys don't know how to take practical courses, and other teachers don't need to use Digimon in their courses, everything depends on you. Freshman game. Hearing Zhao Long's words, Qin Yun stopped and asked with confusion, Teacher Jia, what is this freshman competition? The freshman competition is to test what you have learned this semester, which is the final exam. Zhao Long said, but you can't underestimate this freshman competition, which is related to whether you can be promoted to the second grade in the future, and qualify for the Academy League. Ding, trigger the branch line. Side mission, Academy League. Mission requirements, obtain a spot in the College League. Mission reward, 1,000 energy points, a random lottery chance, and start the next phase of the mission. It actually triggered a mission, and it's a series of missions. Hearing the system prompt, Chin Yun was a little surprised. He didn't expect that just asking about the freshman competition would actually trigger a brand new side task. However, this new side task was not about the freshman competition, but the college joint exhibition later. The college league, literally, should be a competition held by the 4 major colleges. According to what Jia Long said just now, the participants in the competition are students from the colleges, which is similar to the competition in his impression. However, considering Jia Long's teaching this time, maybe in the college league, he will meet a trainer who can challenge Digimon in hand-to-hand combat. Of course, he may also meet this time in the freshman competition. If we follow Jia Long's education method, after 1 semester, the students' physical fitness will definitely improve significantly. They may not be able to fight mature Digimon, but they should have no problem fighting growth stage Digimon. At least, now Chin Yun feels that with his current situation, if he can challenge a growth stage Digimon in a duel, as long as the opponent does not use special moves, he will definitely be able to fight. Even if he is willing to upgrade his digital soul, he might be able to be like Daimon, a duel against mature and higher level Digimon. I understand. Thank you, Teacher Sao, for reminding me. Chin Ku expressed his sincere thanks. Not to mention the course requirements and the freshman competition, just because Jia Long helped him trigger a new side mission, he must be thanked. As for whether he can get the registration qualification, Chin Yun doesn't think it's a big problem. At least he doesn't think there are any students in the 1st grade who can be called his opponents. Even if there are perfect Digimon among the students, Chin Yun is not inferior in the slightest. After all, there are many Digimon. Unless you encounter a master Digimon like last time, you will get as much as you come. Okay, let's go back first. Don't forget to exercise, Jia Long said with a smile. Although the main ability of the beast trainer now is to cultivate Digimon, he should not forget to improve himself so that he will not do anything to Digimon in the future. Create trouble. Okay, Teacher Jia. Chin Yun nodded. This course also made him realize the importance of the body. Although he has a digital soul and a fighter spirit, Chin Yun still feels that it is necessary to exercise and keep some trump cards as much as possible. After all, the fighting spirit is not something that can be exposed casually. At least Chin Yun has never heard of a human being evolving into a Digimon. Jia Long did not stop Chin Yun this time. All that needs to be said has been said. The next step is to see Chin Yun himself. At the same time, he is also looking forward to this year's freshman game, which will definitely be more interesting than in previous years. After all, there is a trainer who has trained a Digimon in the growth stage with a data value of 7,000. In addition, according to the information given by other teachers, there is a genius trainer among the freshmen who has awakened the digital soul in advance, and a certain digital trainer's Digimon is about to break through the maturity stage and reach the stage of completeness. It can be said that the freshmen of this class are even better than the freshmen of the past 10 years, so Jia Long is looking forward to what kind of beautiful trainer battle this year's freshman competition will be. Xiaoyun, what should we do next? After returning to the dormitory, Delumin looked up at his trainer. Chin Yun first looked at the time. It was just 10 o'clock now. The first class was over, and the second class was 2 days later. This meant that the next time would be very free, but he could use it to do some things. Take a rest first, and we will challenge the 2-star digital tower again after noon. After thinking for a while, Chin Yun decided to go to the digital tower after a long time. After such a long time, the cooling of the 2-star digital tower has long ended, and it is time to refresh some energy points. Oh, you can go to the digital tower again. When he heard that he could go to the digital tower, Delumin's eyes were filled with stars, and his little face was full of happiness. He could finally go to the digital tower. You must know that he had been staying at home during this period and was almost suffocated to death. How could he not be excited now that he could finally play in the digital tower? If he hadn't understood that his trainer needed to rest, I believe Doroman would have dragged Chin Yun to the digital tower by now. Not paying attention to the Doroman that was jumping alive with excitement, Chin Yun came to the living room, lay on the sofa, closed his eyes and meditated. Delumin did not disturb his trainer's rest. He ran to the second floor obediently, picked up the equipment inside and started playing. Time soon reached noon, and he still ordered takeout. After eating and drinking, Chin Yun took Doroman out of the dormitory and entered the digital tower. Perhaps because of the start of school today, the digital tower is not as deserted as last time. Instead, it is crowded with a lot of students. Most of these students are gathered in front of the 2-star digital tower, and very few are in the Samsung digital tower. As for the 4-star digital tower, almost no one was seen. In addition, there are some students in front of other doors, looking at the screens on both sides of the door, and making excited shouts from time to time. It's so lively. Looking at this noisy scene, Chin Yun led the multi-root beasts through the crowd, and soon they came to the 1-star digital tower. Because they forgot to ask Jia Long about the permissions, Chin Yun can't go to the 3-star digital tower for training yet, but there are too many people at the 2-star digital tower, so he can only choose the 1-star digital tower. Anyway, we are here to get some energy points. Although the energy points provided by the 1-star digital tower are few, they are better than nothing, so regardless of the opposition of Duolumin, Chin Wei started the challenge of the 10-star digital tower. This move also attracted the attention of other students. If it were a 2-star digital tower, the students would not care too much, but the 1-star digital tower, which is only used for the graduation exam, actually still some people will go out of their way to challenge it. I didn't expect that there are still people using the 1-star digital tower to train. How weak is this? Not necessarily. If you look at his Digimon, they are in the growth stage. It is normal to challenge the 1-star Digitower. A Digimon in the growth stage. This guy's Digimon is only in the growth stage and can enter the academy. Are you kidding? Maybe it's not as freshmen, it might be old students. Don't forget that to become an intermediate trainer, you need to train 2 mature Digimon. Maybe he already has the first mature Digimon, and he is currently training it. The second one is to activate the Samsung Digital Tower. Watching Chin Yun bring the multi-root beast in, the students talked one after another. Although they were a little surprised at first, after hearing the classmates' words, they felt that it made sense. If you want to become an intermediate trainer, you need 2 mature Digimon, while an advanced trainer needs more than 3 mature Digimon. Therefore, after training a mature Digimon, some trainers will choose to raise your second Digimon to a mature level. Of course, there are also some trainers who will directly train their only mature beast to a complete body. If they really do it, they will directly become a star trainer from a junior trainer, so most of them are confident. A digital tamer will not train a second Digimon casually. Because cultivating a second Digimon means that you don't have the ability to let the first Digimon break through. Multimon, fight as you like. After the fight, we will go to the 2-star digital. Not paying attention to the conversations of his classmates, Chin Yun brought Doroman to the 1-star digital tower and let him fight freely. Just kidding, it would be really useless to face a group of growing Digimon and still need his command. Duolumin, who originally thought he could only challenge the 1-star digital tower, found it boring. After hearing Chin Yun's words, he regained his energy again and made a decision. He would pass the 1-star digital tower as quickly as possible. Digital Tower. Such a decision allowed Polymon to kill every virtual Digimon instantly with one punch as soon as they appeared. If there was not a 3-second switching time, I believe that it would only take 30 seconds for Polymon to pass. A 1-star digital tower. Chin Yun also considered this speed, but he continued to open the system store. Anyway, he was idle. First, he would see if he could find what he wanted in the living area. If not, he could only buy digital products. Soul. Chin Yun was looking for the items he wanted in the living area, while Doroman was constantly killing the growing Digimon, one floor after another. In less than 5 minutes, he reached the 30th floor, where he was about to face the enemy. The top layer of mature Digimon. Chin Yun also noticed this, so he shut down the system and prepared to take Duolumin to the 2-star digital tower after he defeated the mature Digimon. However, when he shifted his gaze to the front, Chin Yun discovered that something unexpected seemed to have happened on the 30th floor. Couldn't that be? His eyes fell in front of Doroman, looking at the black figure with his back to himself and Doroman. Chin Yun frowned slightly. If he remembered correctly, wasn't this figure the Mechanical Greymon? Digimon. Mechanical Greymon. Attribute. Vaccine type. Type. Retrofit. Level. Complete. Data value. 137641. 130,000 Mechanical Greymon. A King-level Digimon. After seeing the information given by the system, Chin Yun was immediately frightened. Didn't it say that the Digimon on the last level of the 1-star digital tower were in the mature stage? Why did they suddenly become complete bodies, and their data values were as high as 130,000? A king-level perfect Digimon. Did he really enter a 1-star digital tower, not a 3-star or even 4-star digital tower? Huh. Qin Yun's loud voice not only brought Doroman back to his senses, but also attracted Mechanical Greymon and a human in front of Mechanical Greymon. Hey, besides me, there are people here. It's really surprising. A frivolous voice came from in front of Mechanical Greymon. Qin Yun's eyes moved over and looked at the man in front of Mechanical Greymon. I saw the man wearing a blue and white uniform, holding a fan in his hand, and facing him with a smile. Hello. The man noticed Qin Yun's gaze, smiled and said hello, and at the same time moved his gaze to the Duolu beast. When he saw the Duolu beast, he seemed to have noticed something, and there was a little surprise in his eyes. Interesting, interesting. It's actually a growth stage Digimon in the mature stage of a king. I didn't expect it to really exist. He actually saw it. After hearing the man's words, Qin Yun was very surprised. You must know that the current data value of Duolumin is 190,7,000, but this man just looked at Duolumin and judged he as the king Digimon, which is even more surprising than when Holy Angleman saw through Multiman's data at a glance. After all, Holy Angleman only saw through 7,000 at that time, but the man in front of him did directly see through the real data value of Multiman. Don't be so surprised, I didn't really fully understand the data value of Multiman. Sensing Qin Yun's shock, the man chuckled and said, although I don't know what means you used to fix the data value of the multi-root beast at the elite maturity stage, but you have to remember. The data value can be hidden, but the body cannot be hidden. Maybe you can completely hide its data value, but the body of Doroman is enough for people to guess. Quote. Of course, there are still very few people who can directly guess this result. Unfortunately, I happen to see it. At the end of the sentence, the man praised himself and looked proud. Who are you? Qin Yun frowned slightly and stared at the man. He could see the true strength of Doroman at a glance. This guy was definitely a very powerful digital beast tamer. Oh, I almost forgot to introduce myself. The man seemed to have just remembered that he had not introduced himself yet. He put away his fan and said softly, my name is Bai Yuanfei. I am a 6th-year student at Kangyu College. You can also call me senior. Of course, if you entered the academy 10 years ago, you can call me Bai, please give me your advice. Quote. 6th grader. After hearing Bai Yuanfei's self-introduction, Qin Yun was stunned again. The big boss who could see through the true strength of Duolu Beast was actually a student like him. How does Kangyu Academy train students? They can only be in the 6th grade. To achieve this. Originally, Qin Yun thought that Bai Yuanfei was a teacher, so he could see through the true strength of Duolumin, but he didn't expect that he was actually a student. This was really scary. If Qin Yun had been 10 years earlier, he might not be so surprised, because 10 years ago, when Bai Yuanfei entered school, he had already been regarded by the college as the most talented student in the past century. If he hadn't often avoided if he was training Digimon in the digital tower, he would have graduated 4 years ago. It's a pity that Qin Yun has not been in Kangyu College for a long time. The information he currently has is only about the freshmen. As for the old students, he knows nothing about it, so he doesn't know that the man in front of him actually lived as early as 4 years ago. I should have graduated before. And he is still the kind of digital beast tamer who becomes a star or even moon-level digital beast upon graduation. Looking at you, you probably don't know who I am, so you are my junior. Although there was surprise on Qin Yun's face, Bai Yuanfei understood that the other party was not surprised by himself, but by his current identity. Can you tell me your name, dear junior? Qin Yun. Oh, it turns out it's called Qin Yun. Hello, hello. Bai Yuanfei's eyes fell on Duolu Beast again, and he said, Junior Qin Yun, you are a genius. You can actually cultivate a child who has not appeared for a long time. You are the king of Digimon, and you are still a king at the mature level. You are really a great genius. I believe that you will definitely become a powerful trainer in the future. I also believe that I can become the strongest animal trainer. Qin Yun said these words very calmly, then he looked at Mechanical Greymon and said slowly, but when it comes to genius, Senior Bai, you are more genius than me, right? I have only trained the king in the growth period, but you have cultivated a perfect king, and I can't compare with this gap. The king's growth stage and the king's complete body seem to be the same, but in fact the gap between the two is very large. First of all, the original king Digimon only needs to cultivate the growth stage to 1000 data values, which is enough, but if it is mature to become the king Digimon of this period, the data value needs to be raised to more than 10,000. As for the complete body, Qin doesn't know much about it, but judging from the situation in the growth and maturity stages, the king of the perfect body may need 100,000 energy points, and if he wants to let the perfect Digimon pass the level and exercise, he can improve his data value. To reach 100,000, it is more than 10 times more difficult than to reach the king level in the growth and maturity stages. King Digimon, are you talking about Mechanical Greymon? Ha ha ha. However, after hearing Qin words, Bai Yuanfei laughed. No, Mechanical Greymon is not the king Digimon. Even though he has a data value of 130,000, in fact, the data of the king's complete body or the value is not that low. What are you talking about? The perfect king's data value is not 100,000. After hearing this, Qin eyes widened. What the hell is this? Isn't the perfect king's data value 100,000? Of course not. My Mechanical Greymon is considered an elite perfect Digimon at best, but the king perfect Digimon is not at all. Bai Yuanfei said. Don't you know, the king Digimon has a minimum data value of 150,000, and my Mechanical Greymon is missing by more than 10,000. 150,000. Yes, a perfect Digimon with a data value of 150,000 is called a perfect king. Your teacher should be able to teach you this. Bai Yuanfei was a little puzzled. This kind of knowledge is common sense in the academy, even if they are freshmen who have just entered school, so they should know this from the teachers. I am a freshman this year and have just finished my first class. I have never heard of these things. Qin confessed that he really didn't know the data value of the complete body, and the span was so wide. But if you think about it carefully, it's quite normal. After all, the perfect Digimon themselves are much stronger than the mature Digimon. Not to mention the data value, just the special moves they master are not something that the mature Digimon can handle. Of course, if you are talking about light beasts, just pretend that Qin has not mentioned it. Oh, it turns out that you are a new student. I didn't expect that you have already reached this point in time. When Bai Yuanfei heard Qin words, he looked suddenly enlightened. Although he knew that he had been here for almost 7 years, if he was asked about the specific time, he was not very clear. Therefore, he did not expect Qin to be a new student at first, but wouldn't it be more interesting? It's okay if I call you Qin. Bai Yuanfei seemed to have decided something, and smiled at Qin. Do you want to have a Digimon battle with me? You and me? Qin was stunned for a moment. He looked at Bai Yuanfei in surprise, unable to understand his behavior. You, a trainer of complete Digimon, came to fight Digimon with me. Do you like bullying the freshmen that much? Ahem. Hearing this, Bai Yuanfei felt as if he had been choked on drinking water. He coughed a few times, his eyes moved to Dualu Beast, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Don't accuse people unjustly. How could I think of bullying you? I just want to have a friendly discussion with my junior. What's more, your Digimon should be evolving soon. If you fight with my Digimon, you may be able to break through in the battle and rival me when the time comes. A perfect Digimon is not impossible. What you said does make sense. Qin nodded. He agreed with Bai Yuanfei's words. Although Doroman could have evolved to a mature stage long ago, his potential has not yet been fully developed. If he fights Mechanical Greymon, it might really be possible. It is not impossible to increase the data value during the battle and even break through again. After all, Mechanical Greymon is an elite complete body with a data value of 130,000. Let alone Multimon, even a mature Multimon may not be able to win. If it is really a competition, then Deluman will definitely gain something from the battle, but why should I engage in a Digimon battle with you? Qin asked back, while also rejecting Bai Yuanfei's challenge. Just kidding, the two of them just met today. There is no emotion at all. How can there be a friendly discussion? Qin will not be stupid enough to let the multi-root beast fight with the elite complete body. In other words, he is no longer a fool. Instead, he died. Even though it is impossible for Bai Yuanfei to kill in the battle, Qin will not let Doroman get beaten if he is not sure of victory. Don't look at how Doroman was beaten in various ways in the digital tower before, but in reality Qin had already considered various situations, so he threw digital props on him so that he could improve while being beaten. Don't you want to fight a perfect Digimon? Bai Yuanfei didn't expect that Qin would actually refuse. This is a good opportunity to fight with the complete body. It can be said to be a huge profit for the growth period, and there will be almost no danger. As a senior, Bai Yuanfei would never bully Qin, his junior. The reason why he proposed a Digimon battle was just to see how well Digimon, who had the data of a mature king, could perform. In addition, Bai Yuanfei was also thinking about whether he could help Dualu Beast break through to maturity during the battle. It can be said that he had almost no ill intentions, but wanted to help Qin. However, one thing Bai Yuanfei ignored was that he and Qin had just met. In addition, Qin was a freshman and had just entered school. He had no idea about his personal situation. Naturally, it was impossible to win the digital game casually. Beast versus beast. Once something happens accidentally, Qin's collection of energy points will be delayed again. What's more, if he wants to let Dualumin break through, his best choice is to challenge the digital tower to obtain energy points. Why fight a perfect Digimon that far surpasses Dalagamon? I can go to the 2-star Digitower to fight. There are also perfect Digimon there. Qin said. The people in the digital tower are all virtual Digimon. They don't have much brains, and they get very little improvement. Bai Yuanfei tried to persuade Qin to have a Digimon battle with him. He really wanted to help Qin and Digimon Multimon. For no other reason than to be able to cultivate growth stage Digimon at the mature stage of a king. Qin is definitely a very, very good trainer, and maybe he is still better than himself. For such a talented beast trainer, Bai Yuanfei is not jealous at all, but is looking forward to it. He is looking forward to whether he can have a long-lost passionate fight if he helps Qin cultivate his Digimon faster. Fighting. Why do you have to have a Digimon battle with me? Qin could feel Bai Yuanfei's kindness, but it was precisely because of this that he wondered. If it were a teacher, he would definitely be able to deduce what the teachers were thinking. I can't help but just take credit. But Bai Yuanfei was a little different. He seemed to purely want to help himself. Because you are a genius. Bai Yuanfei said. I am also a genius, and when a genius meets a genius, there will naturally be a fierce battle between Digimon. Is that why? Hearing these words, Qin was a little confused. What are the reasons? So let's have a game. Maybe you can't beat me now, but I'm looking forward to your growth. Bai Yuanfei said, since you can cultivate the multi-root beast to this point, I also believe in you in the future. I can train a king to be fully realized, but that time is too long. The time I can stay in this academy is only 1 year, so I want to train you before I leave, and then we can have a fair fight, battle. How about it? Isn't this interesting? Why do I feel that you are more of a true fighting maniac than a Digimon? Quote. After listening to all Bai Yuanfei's explanations, Qin always felt that compared to Digimon, people like Bai Yuanfei were called true fighting madmen. In order to find a good opponent for himself in the last year, he actually wanted to cultivate his opponent's Digimon. This is an idea that only a pure fighting maniac would have. Now, do you want to come and fight Digimon with me? Bai Yuanfei invited again. He had made everything clear, so he believed Qin would agree to him. After all, helping people train Digimon for free is something that ordinary trainers would not do. Even in the academy, what they teach most is how to train Digimon, and it is impossible to really help trainers train Digimon. Therefore, Bai Yuanfei is confident that Qin will definitely agree to his request this time. Thank you for your kindness, but I still have to refuse. Qin rejected Bai Yuanfei again. Why? Bai Yuanfei asked in confusion. He really didn't understand even though he made it so clear. Why did Qin still refuse to accept it? Is it the so-called pride of genius again? Dualumin, let him see it. Qin did not answer, but turned his head and said to Dualumin. Although he didn't say anything clearly, Dualumin knew what his trainer meant, so the light of evolution emerged from his body and his figure continued to change in the light. Seeing this scene, Bai Yuanfei's eyes narrowed slightly. He seemed to have understood why Qin refused so thoroughly. It turned out that he was already able to evolve. That's my answer. When Dalakaman came out of the light of evolution, Qin chuckled and said, "We have already reached the maturity stage, so this battle is not needed." Indeed, if you have reached maturity, you won't need it. Bai Yuanfei nodded. He proposed the Digimon battle before to help Qin evolve his Digimon faster, but since Duomen can already evolve to a mature stage, this Digimon battle is unnecessary. But the maturity stage is not enough. Even when Bai Yuanfei saw Dalagaman, he knew that the opponent had the power to fight the general perfect body, but it was not enough. This level was far from enough. So, let's leave the Digimon battle until a year later. Before Bai Yuanfei could make another suggestion, Qin suddenly said, "In 1 year, I will train Doroman to a complete form. At that time, let's have another Digimon battle." 1 year to complete. After hearing Qin words, even Bai Yuanfei, who had seen many geniuses, was stunned. It was simply impossible to cultivate a Digimon from a mature stage to a complete form in 1 year. Because even Bai Yuanfei, the most talented beast trainer declared by Kangyu College, took 3 years to train Mechanical Greymon, and during these 3 years, he still had all the resources of Kangyu College. Only with support can it be cultivated. But now Qin said that he would cultivate Dalakaman from the mature stage to the complete body in 1 year. This is simply nonsense. But for some reason, Bai Yuanfei felt that it was possible for Qin to do it. This may be because Qin has successfully cultivated a mature person who can rival the king, or it may be because he really wants to have a competitor who can compete, so. Okay, for 1 year, I'll wait for you to challenge me to a Digimon battle. Bai Yuanfei said, "I hope you can really realize your recognition in 1 year, don't let me down." Don't worry, 1 year is enough. Qin is full of confidence. If he can't cultivate Duolumen to perfection in a year under a systematic situation, then he will be really embarrassed, especially when there is a 2-star digital tower. You know, the 2-star digital tower can provide 150,000 energy points at a time, and the cooling time is only 7 days. 7 days plays a very small role in a year. According to Qin challenge data, he can challenge at least 5 in a year. 10 times 2-star digital tower. In other words, a full 7.5 million energy points can be obtained in a year. Dalakaman does not even need 1 million energy points to evolve to its complete form. Therefore, it can be said that if Qin challenges the 2-star digital tower every week, it will only take half a year or even 3 months to defeat Dalakaman. Gammon has evolved to its full form. Even if the 3-star Digimon can be activated and the energy points of the 1-star Digitower are added, this time will move forward even further. This is also why Qin made a promise to Bai Yuanfei, because if the goal is only to evolve, there will be almost no pressure at all. Maybe now Qin, as a digital beast trainer, has nothing, but he only has there is no shortage of alone time. 1 year is enough for Qin to do a lot of things. Bai Yuanfei didn't know that Qin was a cheating player. Seeing how confident Qin was, he began to look forward to the Digimon challenge in a year's time. I also want to see if Qin can train Digimon to the level of Digimon in 10 years, Bai Yuanfei said. The state of completeness. This is my contact information. Taking out a card, Bai Yuanfei handed it over. If you need it, you can come to me and I can provide you with some resources. Qin had this card. He refused to fight Digimon before in order to avoid a battle with no chance of winning. After all, fighting Digimon where energy points cannot be obtained would be a waste. This time it was different. Bai Yuanfei gave him his contact information purely out of kindness. If he refused, it would be really disrespectful. Moreover, to fulfill the promise, Bai Yuanfei's contact information was also needed. Then, we'll see you next time. After handing the card to Qin, Bai Yuanfei jumped up and came to Mechanical Greymon, then patted his Digimon on the head, and Mechanical Greymon flew up. At the same time, there was a wave of fluctuations in the sky, and then Mechanical Greymon took Bai Yuanfei into the wave and left the top of the Star Digital Tower. After Bai Yuanfei left, the virtual Digimon on the platform finally appeared, but it did not attract the attention of Qin and Dalakaman. Bai Yuanfei, I hope you can become stronger in a year. Quote. Watching Bai Yuanfei leave, Qin also began to look forward to the Digimon battle a year later. This time he did not dare to accept the challenge. In addition to the main reason that he could not obtain energy points by fighting Mechanical Greymon, there was also the fact that I don't think the current Deluguru can defeat Mechanical Greymon. If there is a slight chance of winning, then Qin Yun will definitely try, but if it is a battle with no chance of winning, then Qin Yun will never fight. He is not a fool and cannot let his Digimon get hurt just for the sake of a temporary battle. Dorugamon, did you hear what I just said? Zhao Hao turned around and looked at the Dorukamon next to him. Qin Yun chuckled and said, how do you feel about your gratitude now? Xiaoyun, I want to become stronger. Dorugamon had a low voice. He recalled the oppression he felt when Mechanical Greymon glanced at him after he evolved. His face gradually became serious and excited. That Mechanical Greymon is very strong. I can't win now, so I want to become stronger, strong enough to fight him. Okay, I just want this idea, so let's get started. Qin Yun was very satisfied with Dorikamon's answer. You can't beat it now, but you will definitely be able to win in the future. Now your basic data is enough, and then we just need to evolve. Dalagamon, who already has the data of the king's maturity stage during his growth period, has already reached the upper limit of his Digicore, so there is no need to increase Dorikamon's data value now, it is enough to let him evolve. 2 days later, after finishing breakfast, Qin Yun took his student card and walked into the teleportation device, preparing to go to the second class. Because of Jia Long's previous instructions, he did not want to take the multi-path beast there this time. Dalaman didn't protest at all. After the first class, Dalaman also understood that he could only watch his trainer run and couldn't do anything else. In that case, it is better to stay in the dormitory, at least you can watch the battle between digital trainers. It seems that the class will be more normal this time. After walking out of the transmission device, Qin Yun found that he was not on the prairie, but at the door of the classroom. He immediately understood that this class was taking place in the teaching building. This made Qin Yun breathe a sigh of relief. Although running was pretty good, at least he could go back to the dormitory after running, Qin Yun still felt that it would be better to learn something. Otherwise, he would come to Kangyu College just to exercise, in which case he would still be able to. It's better to go to the sports academy. Following the other students who came out of the transmission device into the classroom, Qin Yun found his seat according to the number on the student card, sat down, and waited for the teacher to arrive. There are a total of 50 seats in the class, and the seats of the students are all according to the numbers on the student cards, so there is no conflict. After a while, the familiar class bell also came. After hearing the bell, the noisy classroom instantly became quiet. All the students focused on the door, waiting for their teacher, and Qin Yun was no exception. Of course, it would be more convincing if he looked away from the book. Sure enough, it's different from what is taught in junior high school, but it's a pity that it doesn't help me much. The teacher has not come yet. Qin Yun continues to look at the teaching book taken out from the table. This is a teaching book about cultivating Digimon. It records some details that need to be paid attention to when cultivating Digimon. In addition, there are also instructions on how to cultivate Digimon. A training method that allows 90% of Agumon to evolve into Greymon. Qin Yun has never seen this kind of training method that can determine the evolutionary path of Digimon in junior high school textbooks. Probably only universities like Kangyu Academy have specific training methods. It's just that this kind of training method is not very useful to Qin Yun. With the help of the system, Qin Yun can choose what kind of Digimon to evolve into, and there is no need to deliberately train it at all. In addition, there are only 5 ways to cultivate Digimon, and the very small number does not attract Qin Yun, so after the teacher's door was opened, Qin Yun immediately put down the half-read instruction book. Sorry, I'm late. A young man in a white coat, who looked to be only 15 or 16 years old, walked to the podium and said to the students with an apologetic face, "Let's start class now." Is this person a teacher? When he saw this young man, Qin Yun was stunned. He didn't expect that the teacher who came to their class was so young. He looked like he was only 1 or 2 years older than himself. Not only Qin Yun, but other students were also surprised that such a young person could actually become a teacher at Kangyu College. This was definitely not a joke on them. Let me introduce myself first. The boy didn't seem to sense the students' doubts, but turned around, picked up the chalk, and wrote a name on the blackboard. My name is Shu Bowen, and I am the teacher of your second class and the following Digimon training class. Shu Bowen turned around and looked at the lovely students in front of him, especially Chin Yun, who was leaning against the window. His eyes narrowed slightly and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Besides, don't look at me like this. I am 27 years old this year. Quote. 27 years old. After hearing Shu Bowen's words, everyone was shocked. You are not 15 or 16 years old, but 27 years old. You look too young too. The students, Seba, were shocked by Shu Bowen's actual age. This was the first time they saw someone whose appearance was younger than their actual age, but at the same time their previous suspicions were cleared. I didn't expect you to be 27 years old. If you were shorter, wouldn't you become a legitimate young lady? After hearing Shu Bowen's actual age, Chin Yun couldn't help but complain, and then looked at Shu Bowen. She didn't know if it was her imagination, but Chin Yun always felt that Shu Bowen was looking at her, even though his eyes had already moved onto other people. But at that moment, Chin Yun had a feeling that Shu Bowen was not introducing himself to the whole class, but to him alone. Okay, students, open your textbooks now and let's start today's lesson. After introducing himself, Shu Bowen asked the students to take out the teaching books on the table and started today's class. The students were obedient and took out the teaching books. Although some students were very familiar with the contents of the teaching books, they did not say much. After all, there were digital beast tamers from the human world. In addition, they also wanted to hear how the young teacher explained this knowledge. This also included Chin Yun, although he had already read the previous knowledge in the teaching book. But watching and listening are completely different things. What's more, he also wants to know more about how to cultivate Digimon in this world. After all, he can't always rely on the evolutionary function of the system. However, in the following lecture, Chin Yun found that he seemed a bit naive. Quote. Next, let's start talking about the adaptability fields of Digimon. This is the key point that trainers must master. When you enter the digital world in the future, you will also encounter various fields and face them. In this case, it is necessary to come up with a Digimon that adapts to a certain field, so this part should be remembered. Shu Bowen stood on the podium and kept imparting knowledge about Digimon to the students. However, unlike the students, Shu Bowen did not hold a teaching book, but shouted completely with his mouth. If this is simply the case, it can only be said that Shu Bowen has thoroughly memorized the contents of the teaching book and will not make the students feel tired. But all the students present now feel very tired, including Chin Yun. Like other students, he can't keep up with Shu Bowen's lecture rhythm at all, because it's only been 10 minutes, but I've already finished half of it. Are you kidding me? Looking at the teaching book in his hand, which was at least as thick as the Shinhua dictionary, Chin Yun looked up at Shu Bowen, who spelled clearly and explained all the knowledge in the teaching book at an alarming speed, and suddenly felt a headache. This guy's lecture speed must be too fast. Are you pretending to be Gatling? Chapter 71. Quote. Okay, that's the end of today's class, and you have 3 days of rest. After 10 minutes, Shu Bowen finally stopped talking. He didn't care about the dizzy students at all. He picked up the tea that had been prepared long ago and said while drinking, "You will go to Jia in 3 days. The teacher's class will also take 5 days when it's my turn. In 5 days, you have to memorize most of the knowledge in this teaching book. I will call on you in the next class and ask questions. Do you understand everything?" After making the request, Shu Bowen drank tea. He didn't get a reply from the students. It was not because the students didn't want to answer, but because they didn't hear what Shu Bowen said at all. I have to say that Shu Bowen's lecture just now was too fast. He finished a teaching book as thick as a dictionary in just 15 minutes. He even mentioned some points that needed attention during the lecture. In the end, the important thing is that even when Shu Bowen speaks so fast, he can still enunciate clearly. But none of this surprised the students, because before they were surprised, their minds were already buzzing. Many of them stopped listening in the middle of the lecture, and they have not come back to their senses even now. How could it be possible to reply to Shu Bowen's words? Okay, if there are no problems, we will get out of class now. After waiting for 5 minutes, there was still no answer from the students. Shu Bowen did not wait any longer. He began to pack his things and prepare to finish class. Wait a minute, Teacher Shu. At this time, an unexpected sound came, which made Shuboen's hand movements stop for a moment. He raised his head and looked at Qin Yun with some surprise. What's the matter, classmate Qin Yun? As a teacher, Shuboen, who had even met Qin Yun in the digital tower before, naturally knew Qin Yun's name. Even if the students in the class have not introduced themselves yet, he can name each student. Teacher Shu, I would like to ask how to obtain the permissions of the Samsung Digital Tower. Unlike those students who are still dizzy, Qin Yun has recovered. I don't know if it is because of the digital soul. He always feels that he is different from ordinary people now. But rather than thinking about this, the Samsung Digital Tower is more importantly. Samsung Digital Tower, classmate Qin Yun, do you want to train in the Samsung Digital Tower? Shuboen asked knowingly. Qin Yun nodded. Last time he forgot to ask Jia Long about the Samsung Digital Tower. It was impossible to forget this time. What's more, he also promised Bai Yuanfei. With such pressure, he naturally wanted to let him go as quickly as possible. Doroman evolves to its complete form. The 3-star digital tower is a better choice than the 2-star digital tower. The Samsung Digital Tower is not something freshmen can challenge. Shuboen began to answer Qin Yun's question. Only third-year students can challenge the Samsung Digital Tower, and students with permission. In your case, if you want to get permission to challenge the Samsung Digital Tower, you can requires permission from the college. Then how can I get this permit? Qin Yun asked again. This is actually very simple. Shuboen showed a meaningful smile. As long as you can get the approval of any teacher directly, you can get this permission. Approval, that's right, to put it simply, it's a Digimon battle with the teacher. Shuboen said. If you can defeat my Digimon, I can give you access to the Samsung Digital Tower. How about it, classmate Qin Yun, do you still want it now? Upon hearing this, Qin Yun frowned slightly. If he remembered correctly, almost all the teachers in Kangyu Academy were Digimon at the full level. In other words, if you want to get access to the Samsung Digital Tower, you must defeat a perfect Digimon. Otherwise, you will have to wait until you reach the 3rd grade before you can enter the Samsung Digital Tower. But until he reaches the 3rd grade, he has to spend at least 3 years in Kangyu Academy, and he will have a Digimon battle with Bai Yuanfei in a year. Even though there is a 2-star Digitower, he is confident that he will be able to fight against Bai Yuanfei in a year. Doroman ascends to its complete form. But if there is a Samsung Digital Tower, then the speed will definitely increase even more, and then the answer will come out. Then it's up to you, Teacher Shu. Qin Yun said softly. Please have a Digimon battle with me. My pleasure. Shuboen agreed. He originally came to be Qin Yun's teacher this time, and he had this idea. Is there anything that could make it easier to study the opponent's Digimon than playing in person? But I didn't expect that Qin Yun came directly to the door before he opened his mouth. Now he could get more materials. As for why Shuboen didn't think about directly asking Qin Yun how to cultivate the king of multi-root beasts, it was because in his mind, the multi-root beasts that can possess the data of the king's maturity stage do not necessarily need to be cultivated. If it is a pure growth stage king, it may be possible to cultivate it, but for a mature stage king, it is not only a problem of training, but also a problem of the Digimon itself. What's more, there are many ways to cultivate them, and among these many ways, it doesn't mean that choosing the elite Digimon training method can train Digimon to the elite level. Point 0. In fact, even if there is a way to cultivate elite Digimon, it is not necessarily possible to cultivate the Digimon to the elite. It also requires the potential of the trainers themselves and the Digimon themselves to achieve this. Therefore, Shuboen wanted to study the multi-root beast itself more than asking questions. Although there was very little material to be obtained through fighting, it was also the best way. After all, it's no problem if there are minor injuries or something during the battle. You can also research it by collecting some by yourself. In this case, it is more convenient and unnecessary to directly ask for the opponent's Digimon, so as to attract the other person's attention. But it's not easy to fight here, and your Digimon isn't here either. Shuboen said. How about this? You go back and take your Digimon partners first, and then we meet in the virtual digital field an hour later. Okay, teacher. Qin Yun nodded, indicating that he understood, and then left his seat, preparing to go back and bring Doroman to have a Digimon battle with Shuboen. Since he had an hour, Qin Yun decided to prepare well. After all, his opponent was a teacher from Kangyu Academy. Although it was unclear what level of digital beast tamer Shu Bowen was, he was at least a star tamer. A trainer of this level, whether it's a Digimon or a commanding ability, must be very powerful. If he doesn't prepare well, it will be too embarrassing if he overturns. Hey, what are you doing over there at the virtual digital field? A third-year student who was about to challenge the Samsung Digital Tower saw many people running towards the virtual digital field, especially because there were many classmates he knew inside. He couldn't help but stop one of the students out of curiosity. Don't you know, a student challenged the teacher to a Digimon battle. What? There is a Digimon battle between students and teachers. Is it true? It's true, but I heard that the other party is still a freshman. Freshman? I thought it was an old student, but it turned out to be a new student. I was so excited for nothing. Hearing that he was a new student, the third-year student sighed. He originally thought that it was other old students who initiated a Digimon battle with the teacher, but it turned out that he was a new student. This kind of farce that happens every year can no longer attract him. Don't be disappointed so quickly. Although it is a new student this time, it is said that the new Digimon is at the elite mature level. We are only in the elite maturity stage. Although it looks very powerful, it is not unusual for our age. What if it's a growth period with elite maturity data? The classmate said again. This time, the person who competes with the teacher in the Digimon battle is a freshman who has cultivated a growth stage Digimon with a data value of 7,000. Do you think it's interesting? 7,000 data value. And it's still in the growth period. As soon as these words came out, the classmate was frightened. You didn't lie to me, did you? How can there be 7,000 Digimon in the growth stage? This is no longer the growth stage of kings, it is already the growth stage of god level. Why am I lying to you? Not to mention the freshmen, even the second, third and even fourth graders know about such a freshman. Only people like you who stay here in the digital tower all day don't know. The student who answered rolled his eyes. This matter had already spread when he signed up. Those who don't know yet are the only students like him who have been staying at the digital tower to complete the tasks assigned by the academy. I didn't expect this year's freshmen to be so scary. They have the statistics of elites in their mature stage during their growth stage. This battle is very interesting. I'm telling you some breaking news. The teacher who is fighting against the freshmen this time is teacher Shu Bowen. Yes, that's the prefecture level animal trainer. After hearing this new information, this classmate was so frightened that he only had these two words left to express his inner shock. It was not that he lacked knowledge, but that besides being able to express it perfectly, there is no other word that is so simple and straightforward. Okay, I won't tell you anymore. I have to go there quickly, otherwise I won't have a seat and I will have to watch outside. After saying that, the classmate followed the crowd and ran towards the virtual digital field. He had been delayed for such a long time. He had to get there faster, otherwise he would not be able to get a seat inside and could only stay outside. Hey, wait for me, I want to go over and have a look too. After seeing his classmates abandoning him, the student immediately reacted and quickly ran up and followed the large army towards the direction of the virtual digital field. However, he was still a step too late after all. The number of people who could enter the virtual digital field to watch the battle had been limited. Those students who came late could only stay outside and watch the screens on both sides of the door. At this time, behind the gate is a huge platform, and around the platform, there are circular buildings floating, which are the auditoriums in the virtual digital field. It is full of students. A rough calculation shows that there are about 100 people in each auditorium. There are 5 auditoriums here, which means there are 500 people watching this digital battle here. On the platform below, there is a figure standing. If you look carefully, you can see that it is a young man wearing a white coat. In Kangyu Academy, there are very few people wearing this kind of clothes. In addition, this is a virtual the digital field is one of the venues where Digimon battle. From this, we can know that this young man is the prefecture level beast tamer mentioned by his previous classmate, that is, Shu Bowen, who is about to start a Digimon battle with the new student. Shu Bowen stood on the platform, with his eyes closed, ignoring the noise from the audience, and quietly waiting for Qin Yun's arrival. About 3 minutes had passed, and there was a sudden movement in front of him. Shu Bowen opened his eyes, and then he saw two black figures appearing out of thin air on the platform. So many people. Qin Yun, who had just entered the virtual digital field, heard the commotion before he could stand firm. He raised his head and saw the crowd in the auditorium, and was a little surprised. Xiaoyun, is that him? Doroman first looked up at the auditorium above, then looked around and found that there was nothing else except the platform, and finally set his sights on Shu Bowen. Yes, he is our opponent this time. Moving his gaze from the audience to Shu Bowen, Qin Yun said softly, like Song Fiken, he is a teacher, and he must have a complete Digimon in his hand. Do you have the confidence to be a Lumen? Complete body? After hearing this, Duolumen was stunned for a moment. He didn't know that his opponent this time was at the perfect level. He only knew that his trainer was going to have a Digimon battle with someone, but he didn't expect that it would be a perfect level. At this moment, Duolu Beast's eyes were filled with stars, and he could not wait to start fighting. Teacher Shu, can we start now? Of course, but before that, let's confirm the rules. Shu Bowen chuckled. The rules this time are very simple. As long as you can hold on to my hand for 10 minutes, or defeat my Digimon, you can get the permission of the Samsung Digital Tower. No problem. No problem. Qin Yun nodded. The rules are not complicated, but easy to understand. Then, Teacher Shu, I would like to ask for your advice. Please give me some advice, classmate Qin Yun. As he spoke, a wave of fluctuations appeared behind Shu Bowen. This was a precursor to the opening of the digital space. In Qin Yun's impression, most trainers with complete Digimon seemed to be able to master the digital space. Perhaps this was the privilege of a star trainer. Fluctuations continued to appear, and then a huge black shadow came out of it. This was a sea beast Digimon. Its system was as big as a hill. It was covered with a hard turtle shell and held an iron fist in its hand, hammer. Digimon. Zudanman. Attribute. Vaccine type. Type. Sea beast type. Level. Complete. Data value. 68,345. 60,000 DAD 1000. Should this data be said to be high or low? Quote. When seeing the specific attributes of Shu Bowen's Digimon, Qin Yun was a bit unfavorable. If we look at Song Fiken's situation, then Shu Bowen's Digimon is more powerful than Song Fiken's Orc Garyruman. But because he had seen the senior Bai Yuanfei's mechanical Greymon before, Qin Yun felt that the data value of Zuduman was a bit too little. After all, one student had a complete body with more than 130,000 data values, and teacher Shu Bowen only has a perfect body of 68,000. Although it is much better than Sine Fishan's Orc Garyruman, which only costs about 20,000, there is no harm without comparison. After seeing Bai Yuanfei's mechanical Greymon, Qin Yun felt that Shu Bowen's Zuduman seemed to be cultivated a bit weak. Dolman, evolve. Although he said that, Qin Yun still knew very well that Zu-24 Dunman was stronger than Duoluman, so he did not choose to deal with it in the growth stage, but instead the beast evolved to its mature body. Anyway, there is a lot of space on the platform, so you don't have to worry about Multiligamen taking up space. What's more, Multiligamen's data value is about 10,000 less than Zudanman. In this case, it is natural to use the strongest one. The state faced the challenge. Zu Dun Beast, when did teacher Shu get this complete body? At this time, in the audience, some old students who had been at Kangyu College for 3 or 4 years were very surprised to see the Digimon summoned by Shu Bowen. Because in their impression, teacher Shu Bowen has never used Zudanman. He often uses 3 other perfect Digimon, and their momentum is more powerful than this Zudanman. However, considering that the opponent is a freshman, Shu Bowen cannot really bring out the main force, so it is normal to bring out a weaker Zudan beast. After all, Shu Bowen is a prefecture-level beast tamer. Earth-level beast tamers are the 6th level among digital beast tamers, 2 levels higher than star-level beast tamers. Originally, a star tamer needed to cultivate a perfect Digimon to become a star, while a moon tamer above it would need 2 perfect Digimon, or 1 complete Digimon and 6 Digimon. Only mature Digimon can be called moon-level tamers. As for the Earth-level beast tamers, the requirements are even higher. They need at least 3 complete Digimon, and the digital soul has been awakened to be known as an Earth-level beast tamer. As for the Heaven-level beast tamer, its requirements are even more stringent. It does not require a perfect Digimon, but it needs to cultivate an ultimate-level Digimon before it can be called a Heaven-level beast tamer. Shu Bowen has been an Earth-level beast tamer a long time ago, and the 3 perfect Digimon in his hands are more powerful than the current Zuidenman. But as the old students guessed, as a teacher, it was impossible to bully the students, so I could only take out a slightly weaker perfect Digimon. Even the weakest perfect Digimon has data values that exceed those of Dalagamon. Who told me that Digimon was in the growth stage? Isn't this a mature Digimon? Yes, it was promised to be a growth stage Digimon with a data value of 7,000. How come it has evolved to the mature stage? At this time, the students in the audience, after noticing the light of evolution on the platform, suddenly started complaining, how come the Digimon in the growth stage that were promised evolved directly to the mature stage as soon as they came up? Could it be that the data value detected at the time was not for the Digimon in the growth stage, but at the mature stage, and it was just because the trainer made the Digimon regress to the growth stage that the rumor of 7,000 data values came about? If this is really the case, the old students are willing to teach this naughty new student and let him understand that this kind of thing cannot be faked. You should see it clearly first before talking. At this time, an old student wearing glasses refuted the words of the students just now. That Digimon has indeed evolved to the mature stage, but his data value is no longer the elite mature stage. After hearing this, the students who were a little dissatisfied because they were deceived took out a pair of glasses from their pockets, put them on, and then focused their eyes on Dalakamon. When looking at Dalakamon, some numbers appeared on the glasses, which grew very quickly, from 1 digit to 5 digits, and finally stopped. A data value of more than 49,000. Are you kidding? This is already a complete body-level data value. Didn't you say 7,000? This is almost over 50,000. Seeing the data values displayed on the glasses, the old students couldn't believe it. Although there were some errors in the Digimon data values measured by these glasses, the error numbers here were not very large. That's why these veterans were shocked when they saw that Doragamon had a data value of 49,000. Originally, they thought it was a growth stage Digimon with a data value of 7,000, but they didn't expect that it was almost 5,000. A mature Digimon worth millions of data. This was really beyond their imagination, and it also made them look forward to the next Digimon battle. If 150 years ago, in the eyes of the old students, Chinku had no winning qualities at all. But it's different now. With a data value of 49,000, it's completely enough to fight Zuidenman. After all, judging from the data value given by the glasses, Zuidenman only has a data value of about 57,000. The gap between them is not so big that they cannot fight. While the old students were discussing at the gate, the freshmen who were lucky enough to come in also heard the words of the old students. They were all startled and looked at Chin Yun with complicated expressions. He seems to be thinking about why there is such a big gap between him and himself, both as freshmen. Also, what is that Digimon? Why have I never seen such a Digimon before? Is it a new evolution? Can you tell me the name of your Digimon? On the platform, seeing the appearance of Dorakamon, Shuboen did not let Zuidenman attack, but instead asked. His name is Dorakamon. Chin Yun didn't hide anything. Even though he knew that Dorakamon had never been cultivated by humans, he had already made Dorakamon appear, so there was no need to hide his name. Dalakamon. Hearing this name, Shuboen smiled. He probably understood how this Digimon was born. That's enough gossip. I think your Digimon can't wait any longer. Looking at the Dorugamon whose eyes were fixed on the Zuidenman, Shuboen took a few steps back to give a certain amount of fighting space. Let's start now, Zuidenman, let's test it out first. Give it to me. Zuidenman responded. He took a step forward, jumped, raised the Thor's hammer in midair, and struck Dorugamon hard. Dorugamon immediately dodged aside, and then he heard a bang and saw Zuidenman falling on the platform. The Thor's hammer in his hand hit the surface of the platform, and a shock wave rose from his center, spreading to all directions. This impact is not a great threat to Dalakamon, but to Chin Yun on the other side, it is a little bit ominous. I didn't expect there were no measures to protect the animal trainers here. He didn't react at all, and was carried away by the impact. If Dalakamon hadn't flown over to catch him at the most critical moment, otherwise he would have lost at least one of his legs if he fell from this height. But this also made Chin Yun understand that the virtual digital field does not have safety devices to protect digital trainers like the digital tower. Student Chin Yun, please be careful. This is not a digital tower. You can only rely on yourself for your own safety. At this time, Shu Bowen's voice came. Don't rely too much on Digimon, especially in Digimon battles. The more you rely on Digimon, the more difficult it will be to fight Digimon. As a trainer, the best thing is not to let Digimon rescue you, but to learn to save yourself and give correct instructions in the process of self-rescue. And this is the real Digimon battle. Even in the battle, Shu Bowen did not forget his identity as a teacher and patiently taught Qin instead of letting the Zuden beast take advantage of the victory to pursue. Of course I know about this kind of thing. Qin knew about this kind of thing. As early as the first class, he had already understood what Jialong was going to say. But what he didn't expect was that the battle on the virtual digital field had become more and more complicated. Use this course. Dalacommon, you can put me down now. Doracommon obeyed and put down the Qin in his hand, and then he stood in front of Qin, staring at Zudenman with a gloomy expression, but this time he did not rush forward because of anger. After what he had experienced just now, finally, Doracommon really didn't dare to be impulsive. Dalacommon, don't worry, you can fight to your heart's content, I can protect myself. Noticing that Doracommon was frozen in front of him, Qin didn't know that Doracommon was worried about him, but if he stayed on his side, he would not be able to win this battle, let alone get 3 stars. Digital Tower's authority. But Xiaoyun. Doracommon turned his head and looked at his trainer with a worried expression. After something like that happened, he really couldn't leave Qin here with confidence, otherwise if the previous situation happened again, he would have to do it before he could react in time. Something big has happened. It's okay, don't worry, Doracommon. Qin waved his hand, with a serious look on his face, and said to his Digimon, I am your trainer. To be able to train you to this point, of course I have my own methods, not to mention. Quote. While talking, a card suddenly appeared in Qin hand. I still have this. When he saw Qin take out the card, Dalacommon suddenly realized, yes, how could he forget that his trainer had this method? I understand, but Xiaoyun, you must protect yourself. Don't worry, Doracommon. As he spoke, the card in Qin hand glowed with white light, and then a transparent screen appeared in front. Prop card, Energy Protective Shield. The prop card is a card that Qin purchases from Digital Props. It is similar to the training set Gravity Ring and other props that Qin purchased when training Doroman. The only difference is that the effect of the prop card in Qin hand is not used on Dalacommon but on himself. To be precise, using this card, he can create an energy protective shield. Used to protect Qin safety. As early as when he was about to have a Digimon battle with Shu Bowen, he had already expected that this would happen. After all, he had heard about it in the first class, so before coming, Qin was in the store bought some digital props. This energy protective cover is one of his guarantees. Now it seems that his guess was not wrong. Fortunately, he found this card among the digital props in advance, otherwise this Digimon battle would be difficult. Shu Bowen didn't know what happened to Qin. Although he saw the card in Qin hand, he didn't pay much attention to it. Firstly, it was because the energy protective shield was transparent. It will only be displayed when being attacked. Secondly, Shu Bowen felt that the card was not something important. After all, most cards are used to record identities and serve as keys. As for using them in Digimon battles, this situation almost does not exist, so I don't care about it. It seems that the adjustment has been made, so Zudenman, let's continue. Quote. There was no need to worry about the card. Shu Bowen looked at Dalacommon who was sprinting towards him, and understood that the opponent had adjusted his mentality and immediately let Zudenman fight freely. As for letting him take command, for a teacher to agree to a Digimon battle with his students is already bullying. Even though Shu Bowen knew very well that Qin could not be treated like an ordinary student, in the end he was a prefecture-level digital beast tamer. If you really take it seriously, it won't be a Digimon battle, but pure fun. After receiving the instructions from his trainer, Zuden beast Wang Haojiao also started to take action. He once again raised the Thor's hammer in his hand and smashed it hard towards the ground. The platform suddenly shook violently. He got up, causing Deluguru who was running almost to fall. Zudenman did not stop like this. After causing the platform to shake, he raised the Thor hammer in his hand again, but this time he did not hit the ground. Instead, He aimed at the Dorugamon, who could not stand still, and put the hammer in his hand. Thor's hammer was thrown out. Dorugamon, get down and use the metal ball. Because of the distance, Qin was not affected by the shaking on the platform, so when he saw Zudanman's attack, he immediately gave instructions to his Digimon. At that moment, Doruman lay on the ground, then he raised his head and looked at the Thor's hammer that was about to fall, opened his mouth, and then an iron ball came out. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Along with the loud noise, spider web-like cracks appeared on the surface of the iron ball, and then it was completely destroyed by Thor's hammer. Dalagamon seized this opportunity, retreated violently, and once again avoided the attack of Thor's hammer. Then he opened his mouth and faced Zudanman. Suddenly, an iron ball even larger than before appeared. Powerful metal ball. Facing this huge iron ball, Zudan Beast did not dare to be careless at all. He sprinted in front of Thor's hammer, reached out to grab Thor's hammer, and then slammed the surface of the platform with a hammer. Hammer spark. The shock wave that looked like lightning carried sparks towards the huge hill-like iron ball. The two collided and immediately caused a huge explosion. Then the iron ball could be seen splitting in midair and turning into pieces. For countless pieces of gravel falling down. Almost at the same time that the iron ball was destroyed, a harsh sound of breaking through the air came from his ears, and then Dalagamon appeared in front of Zudanman and punched it. However, when Dorakamon's fist just emerged, Thor's hammer was already in front of Dorakamon's face at some point. Without giving Dorakamon any room to react, Zudanman hit him with one hammer. He was knocked out off. Dorakamon's body was like a meteor, flying through the rubble in the sky, and finally landed straight in front of you. Boom boom. A dull sound spread, and Dorakamon fell on the platform, causing a burst of impact to spread around. However, when it was about to come into contact with Qin, it was blocked by a transparent screen. Because the impact appeared suddenly and Qin was a bit far away, no one noticed it. Moreover, the students at the scene were more concerned about Dalakamon's situation than Qin. This is a battle at the level of a complete body. Even though Dalagamon is only mature, his data values are already comparable to those of a complete body. And a battle of this level is very attractive to old students, let alone freshmen. Dorugamon, are you okay? Looking at Dalakamon lying on the ground, Qin didn't have any anxiety or worry. He didn't think Dalakamon would be defeated so easily. The difference was less than 10,000 energy points, so it was impossible. The point of instant kill. It's okay, Xiaoyun, I was a little careless. While answering his trainer's words, Dalagamon stood up again, looked at Zudanman in front of him, clenched his fists, and showed an excited smile on his face. Then let's go all out this time. Noticing Dalakamon's expression, Qin once again took out a few cards from the system space. Through the battle just now, he already understood that Dalakamon was not as good as Zudanman in terms of strength and speed. So if you want to defeat him, the best way is to improve the attributes of Duolumin in these aspects. And if you want to get a short-term improvement, you naturally have to use digital prop cards. Attack Component A. As the name of the card was read out, a card in Qin hand disappeared, and then Dorugamon felt that the power in his body had been improved, increasing by about 15%. High-Speed Component B. Defense Component C. Reinforcement Component O. Attack Weak Component A+. As Qin read out the name of the cards in his hand turned into white light and disappeared. At the same time, Dalakamon's strength, defense, speed and other attributes gained 100% with the help of the cards. 15 promotions. In particular, the strengthened components have increased his statistics by 20%, and the power of his special moves has also been blessed. In addition, the weak attack component A+ allows Delugaru to be immune to a certain extent. Partial attack. With the blessing of cards, Dalagamon made up for the data gap between himself and Zudanman, and even thought that the different effects of various cards made him about twice as strong as before. Although the duration of these cards is not long, and can only last 10 minutes at most, for Dorugamon, it is enough to end the battle. Then, come back with victory, Dorakamon. After using up all the cards purchased with 70,000 energy points, Qin said to Dorakamon with some distress. For this Digimon battle, Qin spent at least 100,000 energy points. To be honest, he still couldn't win. If he obtained the permission of the Samsung Digital Tower, he would be in trouble. Originally, Qin Yun had no intention of purchasing so many cards. After all, these were disposable consumables and could not be used again after being used once. However, because of the encounter he had with Bai Yuanfei before, he felt that it was better to be careful, so he reluctantly spent them. I spent about 100,000 energy points and purchased various digital props. Facts have proved that his caution is not wrong. Shu Bowen's Digimon is more powerful than Sine Fiken's Digimon. Although it is not as good as Bai Yuanfei's, it is not something that Dalagamon can easily defeat. So I can only use cards, and I can't say that I cheated. Qin Yun made a big deal for the Samsung Digital Tower, so this battle must be won. Leave it to me, Xiao Yun. After feeling the improvement in strength, Dalagamon looked confident. Although he was at a disadvantage in the previous battle, in fact, Dalagamon did not suffer any actual injuries during the battle, and most of them were superficial injuries, seemingly disadvantaged but actually considered civilians. And now with the blessing of the card, Dalagamon has become stronger than before. If he still can't defeat Zudanman, then he will be really embarrassed. Call out. Dalagamon started to take action. He took a step forward and turned into a black shadow, rushing towards Zudanman at an astonishing speed. It's getting faster. Shu Bowen, who had been waiting for Dalagamon to attack, when he saw this scene, he immediately determined that Dalagamon's speed had become faster. The cards that Qin Yun had just taken out suddenly appeared in his mind, and he felt an inexplicable feeling in his heart. Suspicion. Is it because of those cards? When Shu Bowen was suspicious, Dalagamon came to Zudanman in less than 3 seconds, which was 1 second faster than before. What a speed! Zudanman looked at Dalagamon, who suddenly came to him, and was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Dalagamon could explode at such speed. However, surprise is still a surprise, and the things that need to be done will not stop because of this. Thor's hammer rushed forward, and Dalagamon was less than 1 meter away from his position. Zudanman did not need to adjust its direction at all, it could just hit it directly. There was some surprise on Zudanman's face, and he looked in disbelief as Thor's hammer was caught in Dalagamon's hand. Strength increased. The strength has become stronger. Shu Bowen, who was behind the battlefield, seemed to understand something after seeing this. He took out a machine from his pocket and pointed it at Dalagamon. Only a few electronic sounds were heard, and some words and numbers appeared on the screen on this machine that looked like a cube. Strength, A+. Defense, A+. Overall ability, A++. Data value, 61,743. Not only has the strength and speed increased from A to A+, but even the data value has exceeded 60,000. Is it really related to those cards? After seeing the words and letters displayed on the machine Shu Bowen recalled the card Qin Yun had taken out before, and made some guesses in his heart. There are really so many secrets in this little guy. It is able to cultivate an unknown Digimon like Dalagamon, and give him complete data values in its mature stage. Now it has also taken out some cards to enhance Dalagamon's strength. This made Shu Bowen increasingly angry with Qin Yun. He wanted to find out what else Qin Yun was hiding in order to possess these things that he had never heard of. But before that, we have to let this battle end. It should be soon. Muttering to himself, Shu Bowen understood that the battle would be over soon as he looked at Dalagamon, who was constantly attacking Zudanman with his fists and kicks. Although Dalagamon's data value is only slightly higher than that of Zudanman, the difference is only a few hundred. Logically speaking, it is impossible to kill Zudanman instantly. Even if there is an accident, it may be killed by Zudanman. Counterattack. But Shu Bowen believes that Dalagamon will win this battle. This is not because he has no confidence in Zudanman, but Dalagamon, jump 72 degrees from east to west, and then use heavy metal. Looking at Zudanman, who was wielding Thor's hammer and preparing to strike at Dalagamon, Qin Yun immediately gave the order. Dalagamon immediately followed Qin Yun's instructions and jumped into the air to avoid Zudanman's Thor's hammer. Then he opened his mouth, and a huge iron ball 3 or 4 times the size of his body appeared. Powerful heavy metal. This was Dalagamon's full power blow, which hit Zudanman without any idea. With a loud noise, the iron ball fell on the platform, and Zudanman was also pressed on it. Under the iron ball. Ah, it's over. Seeing this scene, Shu Bowen knew that the battle was over. In fact, it was quite normal. After all, the data value of Dalagamon had exceeded that of Zudanman. Although it was only a few hundred, those few hundred could still form a small gap. The most important thing is that Dalagamon is under the command of Qin Yun. After making up for the gap in data values, the battle between Dalagamon and Zudanman is no longer like it was at the beginning. Instead, under the command of Qin Yun, Zudanman Dunman had no resistance at all and was suppressed by Dalagamon. Finally, Qin Yun caught an opportunity, allowing Dorugamon to use all its power without any scruples to defeat Zudanman. With the help of a digital tamer, Digimon can easily defeat Digimon of the same level. This is why Shu Bowen felt that the Zudan Beast would definitely lose, because he did not command the Zudan Beast in this battle at all, so naturally he would not be allowed to avoid some damage. And when the damage accumulates to a certain level and another opportunity is seized, even Digimon with similar data values may be defeated. Ding! Dorugamon defeated Zudanman and obtained 43,194 energy points. The voice of the system sounded in his mind. When he heard the energy points this time, Qin Yun was a little surprised. If he remembered correctly, didn't he only have 30,000 energy points to defeat a perfect Digimon? Why did it become this time more than 40,000 energy points? The energy points provided by the virtual Digimon are fixed, and the energy points provided by the Digimon will be judged based on the data value and level. Before Qin Yun could ask, the system seemed to understand what he wanted to ask and said directly. So, living Digimon can obtain more energy points from them than virtual Digimon. Qin Yun's eyes lit up. If this is really the case, then the way he wants to obtain energy points will be more complicated. Simple. After all, this is Kang Yu Academy. Although it is unclear whether Kang Yu Academy will be short of things, they will definitely not be short of students, let alone Digimon. Yes, the system replied. It seems like I need to have more Digimon battles with people in the future. After getting approval from the system, Qin Yun felt that after this time, he must go to the teachers for a few more Digimon battles, or he could also go to the students. Maybe some of the old students would have trained complete Digimon. After all, there is a precedent like Bai Yuanfei. But now let's get the permission of Samsung Digital Tower. Qin Yun walked out of the energy protective shield and came to Dalagamon's side. Looking at the panting Digimon whose breath had receded, she stretched out her hand to touch his body. No problem, Dorugamon. Hahu, hahu. Dorugamon did not answer Qin Yun's words. He was panting heavily and looked tired. Although Dorugamon easily defeated Zudanman just now, it was all thanks to Qin Yun's command. Without his command, Dalagamon's might have lost this time. Because, during the battle, Zudanman's attacks were aimed at positions that Dalagamon's could not react to immediately. If Qin Yun hadn't been there to direct him, it wouldn't have been Zudan who fell this time. The beast is gone, but he is. Despite this, Dalagamon's was also very tired. Faced with the concern of his trainer, he could not answer. He could only pant and adjust his breathing slowly. Noticing this situation, Qin Yun did not disturb Dalagamon's. It could even be said that he was a little tired. After all, in the previous battle, he had to keep an eye on Zudanman at all times, and his energy consumption was not low. Well done, classmate Qin Yun. After taking Zudanman into the digital space to rest, Shu Bowen came to Qin Yun and Dorugamon, looked at one person and one beast and said, "You won this Digimon battle, how do you feel?" Quote. "It feels okay." Qin Yun curled his lips, looked at Shu Bowen and said, "I would be happier if the one who wins is the Zudan Beast under your command." Although the Zudan Beast was defeated in this battle, it was without Shu Bowen's command. There was a certain degree of water in his victory this time, so Qin Yun was not particularly happy. Because he knew very well that if Shu Bowen had command over Zudan Beast, winning this battle would not be as easy as before, and there would even be a high chance of losing. That's not okay. You are a student. As a teacher, how can I bully you? Shu Bowen chuckled lightly, then he put his face in front of Qin Yun, changed his previous gentle attitude, and said in a frivolous voice, "Do you think you are qualified for me to take you seriously, Junior Tamer?" Beastmaster. Qin Yun stared at Shu Bowen, his expression unwavering, but in fact his hands clenched into fists at some point. "Well, after all, you still have a long time." Shu Bowen smiled again. He took out a card from his pocket and said to Qin Yun, "Take out your student card." According to the regulations, I will give you access to the Samsung Digital Tower. Chin Yun took out his student card, and then Shu Bowen handed the card over and made contact with Chin Yun's student card. Some data appeared on it and then disappeared. Okay, the authority has been granted to you. You need to become stronger as soon as possible. After giving Chin Yun the permission to challenge the Samsung Digital Tower, Shu Bowen took back the card, turned his back to Chin Yun, and prepared to leave. By the way, Chin Yun, I hope you can make me take it seriously next time. Of course. It doesn't matter if you can't do it, after all, the gap between you and me is not so easy to make up. By the time he finished speaking, Shu Bowen had already walked some distance away, and then a ripple appeared beside him, and then a Digimon walked out of it. It was a complete Digimon that looked like a panda ragdoll. It looked cute overall, but it exuded a suffocating aura. Digimon, Pandamon, Attribute, Vaccine Type, Doll Type, Level, Complete, Data Value, 143761. 140,000. When he saw the data value of the panda beast given by the system, Chin Yun's pupils shrank to the size of pinholes, and he finally understood why Shu Bowen was not serious at all. It's not simply because teachers can't bully students, but the gap between Dollagaemon and his Digimon is really too big. With a data value of 140,000, it is only less than 10,000 away from the king's perfect Digimon. It can be said that the Pandamon in front of him has already stood at the top of the perfect Digimon. As long as he does not encounter the king's complete Digimon and the ultimate Digimon, then he is almost invincible. As for Dollagaemon, his original data value is only close to 60,000. Even with the use of digital props, it can only be increased to about 60,000 at most. Compared with Pandamon's data value, the gap is really huge. It can be said that if Dollagaemon faces Pandamon in this Digimon battle, then it is absolutely impossible to win this battle. Even if Shu Bowen will not command Pandamon in the battle, with Pandamon's data it's worth it. No matter how good the commander is, he can't show his ability. Because before the trainer takes command, Dollagaemon will definitely be instantly killed by Pandamon. After all, Dollagaemon can only match the average perfect body, and Pandamon is already at the top of the elite perfect body. The difference between the two is the gap is enough to create an instant kill. So strong, this guy is so strong. Dorugamon also noticed the aura emanating from Pandamon, which was far superior to the previous Zudanmon, let alone the Song mechanical Tyrannosaurus encountered in the 10-star digital tower. The perfect Digimon in front of him gave Dollagaemon only one feeling, death. If he fought Pandamon, he would definitely lose in the end, and it would be the losing method of losing his life. Then, I'll see you in the next class. After noticing the changes in the expressions on the faces of Chin Yun and Dollagaemon, Shu Bowen knew that his goal had been achieved. With the voice stimulation of Pandamon and himself, in the next while, Chin Yun and Dollagaemon the beast will definitely work hard to improve himself. Coupled with the help of the Samsung Digital Tower, maybe I can see the complete form of Dollagaemon in a year. By then, I will have a lot more things to study. Shu Bowen is not very interested in Digimon battles. He wants to study Digimon more than fighting Digimon. Now that he has such great material as Dollagaemon, he naturally wants to study it carefully. However, the current Dollagaemon is not the most perfect in Shu Bowen's eyes, but there is the possibility of going further, so he must find a way to give Chin Yun some stimulation. Now that the stimulation is almost done, all that's left is to wait for the growth of Chin Yun and Dollagaemon. Jumping onto the back of the panda beast, the panda beast took Shu Bowen and left the virtual digital field. As Shu Bowen left, the auditorium above the platform gradually began to disappear. The students who were originally in the auditorium they were also teleported out one by one. Chin Yun didn't pay attention to the situation in the auditorium above. His face was expressionless at this time. Thinking about what happened just now, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. It is really more and more interesting to have seniors with elite perfection and train teachers who are almost perfect as kings. Not long after arriving at Kangyu Academy, I met so many talented trainers, especially among the freshmen like myself. There was also a digital tamer whose Digimon was about to break through to perfection, and there was even one who was just like myself, awakened the digital soul. All this made Chin Yun very interesting. If Bai Yuanfei's appearance gave Chin Yun a new goal, then the battle with Shu Bowen made him more determined in his decision and purpose. It's not to complete the system's tasks, but I really want to have a real battle with these talented trainers, instead of staying in the digital tower all the time and playing house-like games with virtual Digimon. I believe that Dalacommon is the same as him in this regard. He raised his head and looked at Deluca Beast Shinku with firm eyes, as if he had made some decision. He was already a little impatient to challenge the Samsung Digital Tower. Kangyu College, Teaching Building Office. Hey, you're actually back. Jia Long, who had just returned from class, felt a little surprised when he looked at Shu Bowen sitting inside. Long time no see, Mr. Jia Long. Shu Bowen, who was sitting on the sofa and drinking Panda Beast Run Kung Fu tea, looked at Jia Long, who came back and showed a smile. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Yeah, about 2 or 3 years ago. Sitting on the sofa opposite Shu Bowen, he reached out and took the Kung Fu tea handed over by the Panda Beast. After taking a sip, Jia Long looked at the young man in front of him and said, "But I really didn't expect that you would actually abandon your research and run away. Come teach, what exactly happened?" "I just found some good research materials, so I came here," Shu Bowen said. That's it. Jia Long was not surprised, or it would have been surprising if that were not the case. After all, with Shu Bowen's character, it was impossible for him to teach students while he was doing research. By the way, when I first came here, I heard that you had a Digimon battle with the new students and lost. Is this true? Recalling the news he heard from the students after class, Jia Long asked. He didn't remember that Shu Bowen would do such a thing with his personality. Yes, I lost, Shu Bowen answered Jia Long's question. That little guy is quite good. Not only does he have a very good Digimon, he also has his own command ability. If he is well cultivated, he might be able to reach the level of Bai Yuanfei. Bai Yuanfei, you are not mistaken. Quote, hearing this name, Jia Long was a little surprised. Is there any new student this year with the same level of Keishin as Bai Yuanfei? I can't tell yet, but I feel that that little guy should be a more talented person than Bai Yuanfei. Shu Bowen said, maybe he is still weak now, but I believe he will grow up after a while. What you said makes me more and more interested. Who can make you make such an evaluation? Jia Long asked. Is it the one who has awakened the digital soul, or the one who is about to cultivate the perfect one, or should I say, the one with a data value of 7,000 and a growth stage Digimon? The quality of this year's freshman is really good. Shu Bowen did not answer, but instead talked about other things. In the past, at most one genius came every year, but this year there are 3. I believe this year's freshman competition will be very exciting. Indeed, Shu Bowen, who do you think is the most qualified to win this freshman competition based on the situation of the 3 of them? Jia Long asked. Well. Shu Bowen thought for a moment, then narrowed his eyes and said, it should be Qin Yun. There are too many unknown things about him. It is possible to win this freshman competition. Are you so optimistic about him? Although the other 2 students are a little worse than him, the gap is not that big. Jia Long said. Don't you like him? Ha ha ha, yes, I am indeed optimistic about him. Being asked this rhetorically, Jia Long did not feel embarrassed, but laughed heartily, and then he continued. However, what I am optimistic about is not that he can cultivate a growth stage Digimon with a data value of 7,000, but that he can cultivate a growth stage Digimon with a data value of 7,000, itself. Oh, these words immediately caught Shu Bowen's attention. He was not looking at the multi-path beast, but Qin Yun itself, which was a bit interesting. If I guessed correctly, Qin Yun should also have awakened the digital soul. Jia Long said calmly. When he took my first class, it took him 24 minutes to arrive. The location I set. In 24 minutes, I ran 10 kilometers while wearing a gravity suit. Did you get to this point on the first day? After hearing this, Shu Bowen was a little surprised. Although he was also the teacher responsible for teaching Qin Yun's class, in fact he was just transferred here today. He spent a lot of effort and time before coming. Naturally, no information was given about the first class. But Jia Long is different. He is the teacher in the first class. Although he is a teacher who often deceives people. For example, at the beginning, he told the students to run 1,000 meters. But in fact, the real distance is 10 kilometers, which is 10,000 meters. This is why Qin Yun would run for such a long time to reach the finish line. If he were not a teacher and a tamer who has been fighting in the digital world all year round, the Beast Master, Jia Long, revealed his inner shock at that time. But despite this, Qin Yun's behavior still shocked him. After all, this is a distance of 10 kilometers. Especially when wearing a gravity suit, he can arrive in such a short time, unless he is holding a gravity suit. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible for the digital soul Tamer to reach the finish line in half an hour. You must know that the gravity suit Jia Long gave to the students was specially customized by the college. Its function is not just to bear weight, but also has a function that can increase the weight according to time. This time increase is very short, only about 1 minute, that is, every time the student runs for 1 minute, the weight on the gravity suit will be increased. Although the increase is very small, it is enough to make the students feel stressed. This not only avoids the students' desire to rest while running, but also allows them to slowly adapt to a higher load, so as to make it easier to wear them next. Gravity suit with greater weight capacity. As for why Jia Long deceived the students and said it was 1,000 meters, the reason is also very simple. When faced with the two options of running 1,000 meters and running 10,000 meters, a normal person would definitely choose the first one, especially when wearing in the case of gravity suit. At least running first is more promising than running second. Even in the first class, no other students except Qin Yun reached the finish line, but they all ran with all their strength and had no energy to spend on resting. Physical fatigue will affect the brain. It makes it even more impossible for students to realize why they still can't reach the key point after running for so long. In addition, the result of this will naturally make the students' muscles sore the next day and they will be unable to get out of bed, but it also exercises their bodies. After the next class starts, the students will be teleported to the place where they stopped before through the student card, and then run. The second distance will definitely be shorter than the first time, so according to Jia Long's calculation, the end of this running session only requires a maximum of 3 sessions. In addition, Jia Long will never tell the students the real distance because it is not necessary. Although telling the students that they have already run 10,000 meters when they reach the finish line can increase the students' confidence. But Jia Longbu Wang Zhaohao felt that such a little confidence could allow the students to face the next training without fear, so in order to give the students some hope for themselves, they should conceal their love for each other. Otherwise, as in previous years, when students hear that they have to run 10,000 meters, they will simply choose to walk. Even if they are threatened, they will refuse on the grounds that it is impossible. This is Jia Long's teaching plan. He will not clearly explain the course situation, but will use white lies to train the students. But now, this time a student appeared that gave him a bit of a headache. That is Qin Yun. He completed his task earlier than other students, and is even suspected of having a digital soul. In this case, ordinary training methods will not work. That's why Jia Long told Xu Bowen about the matter, so that he could arrange a training method for him as a digital soul holder. Xu Bowen naturally understood what Jia Long meant, but understanding was one thing, being surprised was another. Xu Bowen really didn't expect that Qin Yun might have a digital soul. Digital soul, are you really sure he has awakened the digital soul? Xu Bowen was a little unconvinced. This was not because he doubted Qin Yun, but because he had mastered the digital soul after being able to cultivate the King Digimon. The possibility is really too low. Even among the new students this year, the trainer who has awakened his digital soul has only just grown up his Digimon, while the other new student who is about to cultivate a complete Digimon does not even have a digital soul. No trace of awakening. But now Jia Long told himself that Qin Yun had also awakened the digital soul, which surprised Xu Bowen. It's not certain yet, but we can't rule out this possibility. Jia Long is not sure. After all, it is possible that Qin Yun is in good physical condition and has exercised before coming to Kangyu College, so he can complete the whole process. Although this kind of thing rarely happens, it is not without precedent. For example, by Yuanfei 10 years ago, when Jia Long was in the same class as him, he also witnessed the true strength of that genius. This is why, after seeing Qin Yun pass before, he was still able to control himself. The main reason is because he has witnessed a similar scene with his own eyes. It's just that the teachers at that time were not as gentle as him, but used punishment to force their 157th class students to exercise. Looking back now, I can still feel the pain in my body. Jia Long, what's wrong with you? You look a little ugly. Xu Bowen looked at Jia Long with a worried expression, wondering why such a good-looking person had changed his face. It's nothing, I just remembered the days when I was a student. Jia Long shook his head, adjusted his emotions, and then said, although it is not clear whether he has awakened or not, based on his performance, the next steps will be based on exercise is no longer suitable for him, so I want to get something from you and give me some advice. Just tell me what you want. You don't need to be polite to me about the equipment you need for class. There was no need to know what Jia Long wanted. Shu Bowen agreed directly. After all, he himself was responsible for this aspect. As for making suggestions, given your situation, you can train him in your own way. Otherwise, you can train him in your own way. Use the Academy's digital soul training method, so there's no need to ask me. It's not necessary. Jia Long naturally knows very well how to train digital soul holders. Not to mention that he himself has awakened the digital soul, and there are also tutorials specifically for training the digital soul in the Academy, so there is no need to come to Shu Bowen. However, this time I wanted to ask Shu Bowen to come up with an idea. The main reason was, let me tell you, just when Jia Long was about to explain, a voice suddenly came, which immediately attracted the attention of Jia Long and Shu Bowen. Then they turned their heads and looked outside the window, and saw a mechanical Tyrannosaurus appearing there at some point. And on the right arm of this mechanical Greymon, there is a human figure standing. Noob, Yuanfei, why are you here? After seeing it was by Yuanfei, Shu Bowen and Jia Long were stunned for a moment, and then the latter asked with some confusion, didn't you go to take the alliance assessment? Why did you come back so soon? I'm confused too. Jumped off the mechanical Greymon, walked through the window and came to the office. Looking at the two teachers in front of him, Bai Yuanfei shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly, when I went over, I was about to take the assessment, but the result was that the person directly gave me the certificate and then kicked me out without saying anything. Did they just not let me take the exam? Hearing this explanation, Jia Long didn't think there was anything wrong. In fact, he had already guessed this result when he heard that Bai Yuanfei was going to take part in the alliance assessment a few days ago. If Bai Yuan hadn't arrived suddenly, I believe Jia Long wouldn't have been shocked. Hey, Xiao Bai, long time no see. Looking at Bai Yuanfei walking in front of him, Shu Bowen chuckled and said, I didn't expect that 10 years have passed and you are still a student, CI. I thought you could graduate in 1 year, but you are still repeating the grade. Long time no see, teacher. Not paying attention to the following paragraph, Bai Yuanfei looked at Shu Bowen with some curiosity on his face. After so many years, you are still like this. It really makes me doubt whether your age is true. 10 years ago, when Bai Yuanfei first came to this college, Shu Bowen was like this. 10 years later, he had grown up from the 8-year-old kid back then, but Shu Bowen was still the same as 10 years ago, a little bit nothing has changed. This made him wonder whether Shu Bowen was transformed from a Digimon. After all, powerful Digimon can imitate their bodies into human ones. I heard that you came out this time because you had a Digimon battle with someone. What is going on? Shu Bowen did not answer, but changed the topic. I met a good junior. Bai Yuanfei didn't pay attention. He walked to the sofa and sat down. At the same time, after degenerating into the growth stage outside, Agumon ran to his trainer, took the bread from Pandamon and sat down. That's the new student you were talking about, teacher. He's very good. Bai Yuanfei drank the kung fu tea handed over by Pandamon, looked at Shu Bowen and said, especially him, who has awakened the digital soul. Although he has not used it, he still attracted its attention. Oh, it can actually trigger your digital soul. Hearing this, Shu Bowen was a little surprised. It was a very rare thing to be able to make Bai Yuanfei's digital soul fluctuate. After all, Bai Yuanfei's digital soul was not an ordinary digital soul. The level of its digital soul is very high, and it also contains part of the power of digital text. Being able to make such a digital soul fluctuate means that Qinyun has the same digital soul in his body. So teacher, I want to ask you to help him just like you helped me back then, so that he can master the true power of the digital soul as soon as possible. Bai Yuanfei went straight to the topic and said, he is too weak now, no matter what. Is it the Digimon, or is it itself? If it continues at this rate, it will not be my opponent in a year. Bai Yuanfei admitted that Qinyun's talent is very high. Whether it is training Digimon or training himself, he can be said to be the 10 most talented among the untalented people he mentioned. So Bai Yuanfei wants to let Qin Yun grow up faster, otherwise he will leave the academy and go to the digital world in a year. At that time, it will not be that simple to meet Qin Yun again. I understand, since this is what you want, then I will definitely bring you the result you want most. After a while, Shu Bowen agreed to Bai Yuanfei's request. In fact, he had already guessed it when he asked Sage Beast to find Bai Yuanfei, but there were some deviations in what he predicted. For example, Qin Yun has a digital soul, and it is also a digital soul with the power of digital text. Thank you very much, teacher. Bai Yuanfei stood up, bent down and thanked Shu Bowen. With Shu Bowen's help, I believe Qin Yun will grow up faster, and maybe he can take a long, serious look before leaving the academy. But I have a condition. Shu Bowen said. You must participate in this college league and help the school win first place. If you can't do that, I will stop cultivating Qin Yun. No problem. Bai Yuanfei agreed without any hesitation, as if he was saying that the first place in the college league must be his, even if he had never participated in the college league. However, Shu Bowen and Zhao Long did not doubt Bai Yuanfei's confidence because they both knew Bai Yuanfei well. The former was his teacher and the latter was his classmate, although Zhao Long was much older than Bai Yuanfei. But the students of their generation all knew how powerful Bai Yuanfei was. The power here did not mean that Bai Yuanfei had cultivated elite perfect Digimon, nor did it mean that he had 2 perfect Digimon at this age. It's because of Bai Yuanfei himself. When he first entered school 10 years ago, he had already defeated 10 mature students. But now 10 years have passed, no one knows how powerful Yuanfei's own power is. Perhaps, he might be able to fight a perfect Digimon now. The digital soul with the power of digital text has this potential. It looks like I'm going to have to pity the little guy for a while. Continuing to drink kung fu tea and looking at Bai Yuanfei chatting with Zhao Long, Shu Bowen began to think about how to train Qin Yun. If before, he wanted to put some pressure on Qin Yun and pay more attention to the cultivation of Digimon. Now, compared to the training of Digimon, Shu Bowen feels that Qin Yun must get some training, otherwise Bai Yuanfei will definitely teach him how to behave in the Digimon battle a year later. Dormitory area. Dalaman, don't lie down when you come back after eating. You will get fat. When he came back from the digital tower, he saw the bulging Doroman lying directly on the sofa. Qin Yun sighed helplessly. However, this cannot be said to be that Doroman is lazy. The main reason is that he is too tired. Not only did he have a fierce Digimon battle with Zudanman, but he also consumed a lot of energy later when he challenged the Samsung Digital Tower. It was now evening. When Qin Yun and Shu Bowen had a Digimon battle, it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it ended less than half an hour later. After Shu Bowen left the virtual digital field, Qin Yun also left the virtual digital tower with Doroman. However, they did not go back to the dormitory. Instead, they came to the Samsung Digital Tower and started training with the newly obtained permissions. As a 3-star digital tower that is 1 star higher than a 2-star digital tower, the virtual Digimon inside are also more powerful than a 2-star digital tower. This is specifically reflected in the fact that the first level of the 3-star digital tower is the elite maturity stage, that is, those with 5,000 data points. Digimon. However, a Digimon with this data value posed no threat to Dorogamon at that time, so it easily passed the first 10 floors, and when it reached the 11th floor, no data value appeared. A Digimon that has been promoted still maintains a data value of 5,000. This situation has remained the same as Qin Yun passed through the 19th floor and then changed when he reached the 20th floor. The data values of the virtual Digimon on the previous 19th floor were all fixed at 5,000, but on the second floor the 10th floor is different. The data value of the Digimon on the 20th floor was 5,100, which was 100 more than before. It didn't seem like much, but it reminded Qin Yun of the situation of the 2-star Digitower, and he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. After passing the 20th floor and arriving at the 21st floor, Qin Yun saw that the Digimon's data value had been improved again, although it was only increased by 100, from 5,001 to 5,002. The increase in data value also made Doroman, who had regressed to the growth stage, become a little more interested, so that after the challenge reached the 35th floor, Doroman had no physical strength. The battle with Zudanman had already consumed a lot of Doroman's physical strength, and then he fought with so many virtual Digimon. Although almost all of them were killed instantly, the continuous battles were still a bit too much for him. So after arriving on the 35th floor, Qin ended the training in the digital tower, and took Doroman to have a hearty meal at the food place in the digital tower. Then the current scene appeared. After returning to the dormitory, Doroman was lying on the sofa with a bulging belly and a lazy face. Perhaps he was really too tired today. After Duolumin lazily responded to Qin, he closed his eyes and fell asleep on the sofa. Seeing this, Qin shook his head helplessly, and then walked to the second floor. When he came down, he held the quilt in his hand, came to Duolu Beast, and covered him with the quilt. "Thank you for your hard work, Doroman, please take a good rest now." Touching Duolumin's little head, Qin couldn't help but smile. Then he stood up, planning to take a bath and then prepare to rest. At the same time, it's time to consider improving yourself. I got a lot of energy points this time, why don't I try to upgrade my digital soul? When he took out his clothes and walked towards the bathroom, Qin was thinking about whether to buy Digital Soul D to upgrade his digital soul. Although he was stimulated by Shu Bowen, he did not put all his energy into multi-channel on the cultivation of beasts. This is because Doroman does not need to be cultivated by himself at all. As long as he has energy points, he can evolve to a complete form at any time. After evolution, he only needs to fight to master his own power. Therefore, Qin basically does not need to cultivate multi-monsters. He only needs to improve his command ability and then go to the digital tower to earn energy points. As for why he wanted to improve his digital soul, it was mainly because of the first class. Unlike other students, he did not feel tired after attending the first class, so he noticed something unusual. In addition, some of the freshmen had awakened their digital souls. Just in case, Qin felt that it was necessary to improve his digital souls. Anyway, the digital souls would also indirectly improve his physique. Qin had already learned about this from the system. Fortunately, he asked about what equipment could be used for exercise, otherwise he would not be sure that the digital soul can really improve people's physique. You must know that in the fifth part, there are many beast trainers with digital souls, but except for Daimon and Daimon Ying, no one else can use digital souls to fight Digimon. From this we can know that not all digital souls can be used for combat, which is why Qin didn't realize it at first. If the system hadn't reminded him, he would have missed the simplest way. But this was also blamed on Qin for not expecting that the introduction of Digital Soul D was about improving the basic data adaptation of the holder, and there was no mention of this aspect at all. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.